although things are prone to go wrong. But
You know what? We're gonna roll with it. All right, guys. We apologize for being this late. We had some technical difficulties come up, but we're finally live. So I'm here with both Block Content, aka Alum, and the one and only PapaGenos. This is super exciting. For those of you guys who don't know who I am LaxChris, and I'm super happy to be here with you guys today on this holy day. Absolutely. Because we have a Nintendo Direct in just a couple of hours.
oh, that is super exciting. What's up, everybody? So I'm very happy to be joined by these two beautiful gentlemen. It's been crazy talking to you guys the past couple of hours, setting this thing up, but it's really happening right now. We are in a stream together, the three of us. So everybody, let me know in the comments if all the audio stuff is good, if you guys can hear PapaGenos and LaxChris, and just thanks for having me, I suppose. Like, we're all streaming on our separate channels, so if you guys are real fans of us, just put on 3 windows of all our 3 streams at the same time. That'll probably be great.
Yep, I got 100 in mine. PapaGenos, I'm checking his, but we got a lot of people here today, so obviously people are ready for this to happen. So, PapaGenos, we haven't heard anything from you yet, my friend.
Yeah, I'm just making sure my audio is okay here because we were having some audio problems. So if people in the comments want to tell me if the audio is on or not, they're saying audio is messed up, unfortunately. Okay, let's see. They're saying it's really low. Let me see if I can mess with it.
Okay, so in general, I can probably lift my audio up a little bit. So let me know in the comments if my audio is good. Oh, it's a bit robotic, is what they're saying. That's just the live stream, so just refresh and everything will be okay.
Okay, they're saying my audio is good.
The audio is fine. Everybody's saying
sounds
so.
good. Yeah, sounds perfect. Sounds good. Okay, I think I fixed it. All right, cool.
We're here. We're really doing this, boys. Wow, this is amazing. So, where do we even start, guys? I mean, we have a Nintendo Direct today. To me, it was actually a little bit hard to sleep last night. I'm not gonna lie. This feels like Christmas Eve to me for sure.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, whenever there's a Nintendo Direct announcement, it always just feels like, surprise, we're gonna get a bunch of stuff. Like you said, it's like Christmas Eve.
What I guess will the presents be, right? I wonder.
So I guess the first thing I want to talk about, just because I have been dying to talk about this, is Pokemon Sword and Shield, man. I know a lot of people want us to start with Smash, but I know that Callum is a huge fan of Pokemon, as well as PapaGenos. So, what are we getting in terms of Pokemon today? Because I'm personally hoping we finally get starter evolutions, because I mean, we've known about Scorbunny, Grookey, and Sobble for so long now, and I feel like it's just absolutely crazy that we're about 2 months away, and we have no idea what these starter evolutions are going to look like.
Hi, you want to take this one, Geno?
Yeah, sure. So we got, a bunch of Pokemon info since Pokemon Sword and Shield has been announced, and surprisingly, we have not gotten the evolutions of the starter Pokemon yet, which is just crazy to me. It feels like we should have at least seen the second evolutions by now. So I really think in tomorrow's Direct, since they did say it would have Sword and Shield info and Luigi's Mansion 3 info, I do think since it said Sword and Shield info, we will probably be seeing at least the second evolutions of the starter Pokemon.
Absolutely. And another thing I think is weird is just having the Pokemon Sword and Shield stuff in this Direct, because what we've seen with Pokemon is they kind of like to do their own thing. We got something in February after the Nintendo Direct back then. We got something in June that was all Pokemon, and so seeing this Pokemon Sword and Shield is in this Direct, I mean, something big has to be coming, and I think that the starter evolutions are definitely something that people are just looking forward to, biting at the bits for, because I can't choose a starter without knowing what they're going to evolve into.
It's the big catch, right? Knowing what creature you're going to be with for the entire ride. So to me, it's a little bit of that. It's a little bit of the idea of what Pokemon are we going to get, because it's a whole new region, and as we know, there's no national dex, so the creatures that we are going to get are going to be the main selling point of the game, I feel like aside from the UK-inspired new region, which looks incredible, and I really want to explore that thing. But yeah, that hits the point of the national dex. I don't know if you guys want to touch that at all, but to me, it's been a whirlwind, man. I really don't know how to feel either way, because that whole national dex thing could lean towards it being very healthy for the franchise in
Right.
terms of being able to reinvent itself, but it could also lean towards, oh man, now they're basically screwing something up that they were pretty much, the pioneers of, and now going forward, I can't play as my, Pokemon that I had in Pokemon Red or,
Right.
Silver or something like that. That's just gone now. So I really wanted to know your thoughts on it. Like, what way do you lean, like PapaGenos, for example?
So I have such mixed feelings about this, like, Dexit, if people are calling it.
Agreed.
Yeah. Which fits the UK theme there. But yeah, I have mixed feelings because I I love the Pokemon franchise and everything like that. I've wanted them to make that like big leap, and I was hoping that the Switch game would be that big leap, and to have something that we've had forever now, getting all the Pokemon from the last games be cut is like, oh, it's tough. But I really am excited for, like, there's a bit of an open world element here. I do like the new Pokemon designs. So I'm really torn about Sword and Shield. I was hoping maybe they'd do something like, they'll bring back the National Dex as like DLC later down the line or something like that. But it sounds like that's not what's going to happen. I could see from a tournament perspective, metagame perspective, that they want to have a bit more control of that. Though I've always found Game Freaks to be kind of hands off with that sort of thing. It feels like the community kind of takes that over. So I don't know if that's
Yeah.
so I don't know if that's really what's going on here. So yeah, I have a bit mixed feelings. I kind of wish Game Freaks would maybe outsource a little bit, like give some of the tasks, some of the maybe programming to like a smaller company, and then they can work on like the designs and stuff like that. I feel like Game Freaks has for a long time had total control over Pokemon, which is a good thing in some respects. Like, it kind of reminds me of like an indie movie versus a big budget movie. It's like an indie movie, you have more control over making that. You can make your vision and stuff like that. But at a certain time, like if you're trying to make something really ambitious, you might have to go with the bigger studio. So I feel like Game Freaks has for a long time had control of Pokemon, total control of Pokemon, and that's great for getting their vision out there. But it's kind of like if I had, let's say I had like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or something like that, and I wanted to make a movie of it. If it was my own independent movie, yes, I would have total control over it. But it's such a big thing. At some point, I have to kind of, ask more people to help me create this. I feel like Game Freaks maybe has to do that at this point. I think Pokemon's maybe gotten too big for them to have total control. But I understand they don't want, like, too many cooks spoiling the pot or whatever the saying is.
Absolutely.
They might want that control.
Absolutely.
That's my thoughts on it.
No, I understand. I guess my main thing with it is that this is kind of something that I've always been expecting but also fearing. Because I mean, at this point, we have over 800 Pokemon. Now, with 800 Pokemon, I understand that gives you need more time for development and everything else like that. And as of right now, what do we have coming out in the fall? We have Luigi's Mansion 3, and I don't even remember what the other big blockbuster titles are, but like Pokemon is going to be this year's holiday selling title. In 2017, we had Super Mario Odyssey. In 2018, we obviously had Smash Ultimate, and now in 2019, Pokemon is going to be their big seller alongside the Switch Lite. Now, I think that Game Freak is really being put on a time crunch because of Nintendo and wanting to get this out there. Because obviously Nintendo wants to have some kind of big holiday bundle or some kind of big holiday title, so that way they have something for kids to open up under their Christmas tree. And like Pokemon is like one of the most profitable franchises of all time, so it definitely makes sense. But since it is so profitable, I definitely agree with you, Papa, that they should be putting like a little bit more effort into trying to get all of these Pokemon back. And I mean, once again, it's very disappointing. Because I'm sure that there's going to be some Pokemon that I have in my old games that I want to transfer over, and I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. Nintendo needs a big holiday title. They're promoting the Switch Lite by making the legendary Pokemon Sword and Shield Switch Lite. So I just feel like, although us hardcore fans, which I assume all three of us are, would really prefer just a delay so that way they can make it the best it would be. I mean, I can kind of see where Game Freak is coming from in this instance.
It's strange to me that people are, giving them a pass in a lot of aspects too. So I kind of agree with what PapaGenos and you're saying, because in some respects it is really going backwards. I feel like the franchise in a lot of different people's hands would have evolved a lot quicker, a lot bigger, and a lot faster. And right now we're basically stuck with the mindset of the Game Boy games essentially. And now, of course, they are 3D and they have some open world elements in the new game. And but aside from that, every new game has sort of a gimmick. Either it's the island setting or now the Galarian Pokemon and the Dynamaxing stuff. But I don't think that a gimmick is enough to sell a game of this magnitude. I mean, Pokemon is the biggest franchise in like gaming history, like in terms of how much money it accumulates. And now with the big feature film, and of course, Papagenos just mentioned, the idea of feature films and the rights for different things and having different artists contribute to an IP, and that I feel completely justified the Pokemon movie, the Detective Pikachu film, because that was incredible. It took some liberty with some character designs and voices, and it was this whole incredible world, and it didn't, lend too much from the game Detective Pikachu. And I feel like we are getting sort of a boxed version of this thing that we know as Pokemon. And I think they're pretty scared to give some creative control away, because it's this thing where, and I feel like games like Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Mario West, the past couple of years, is giving the fans exactly what they want. And I think some companies are really scared that if you give the fans all they want, that'll be the definitive game and they don't really want to play anything else. But I don't think that that's the case at all. I mean, look like at Smash Brothers Ultimate, it's the ultimate thing where it's like everyone is here. And I could see as a game director, Sakurai being, oh, wow, I just did the everyone is here thing. Where am I going to go next? But he doesn't really let that cloud his vision, creative efforts in the game. And that I feel is the mark of a true artist. It's like saying, I'm going to do the best thing that I can do at this moment in my life, because it could be the last thing, but also people deserve the best thing. And that attitude, and I don't know if it comes from higher up within Nintendo or if it's just a Game Freak kind of thing. And I do think that in terms of legal rights, they struck a deal very early on, and I think that Game Freak is very happy that they struck that deal, because they get to make these games and they don't get to test out with different people and stuff like that. That just side of things. So I agree with you guys. I would really love to see. Of course, we all know these concept images that fans make of these open world Pokemon games. So you'll see like a trainer on a Lapras in a big open ocean, and there's a big Gyarados in the background, and it's incredible to think about the transformation of Pokemon in terms of Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey, where they're just saying the conventions of Pokemon, we're going to change it. We're going to do away with the grid based stuff. We're going to do away maybe even with turn based battles and stuff like just things people talk about this thing, because I know that the information that we're going to get in this direct is just going to be, here's flashy video of 2 minutes, and here's 3 new Pokemon, and here's 2 new evolutions. Here's some customization options for the trainer, and here's like one legendary cutscene doing a beam, towards the screen. And that's basically it. Aside, of course, that the entire game has basically been leaked in terms of story. But that's not something that they can do forever. And I think we're seeing hints of stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen Arlo's video on Pokemon Sword and Shield, but I would suggest everybody listening right now to go check that, hit on a couple of points that I didn't even know about in terms of Game Freak as a company, and even looking at the animations in the trailers and stuff like that, and seeing that literally they are copy pasted. Like they publicly said, these things are remade and we need some time for this. And the only thing that happened was the upscaling of different textures. But even NPC, like human characters talking, those animations are even copy pasted. So that is, calling people on their stuff. These game developers that are basically doing good, right? They're making content for us. And we should be very grateful. Good thing that fans push developers when they're not at their A game, and I think that they're not even at their C- game right now. I think that Game Freak kind of stepped it up in quality, right?
Yeah, Yeah, no, I totally agree with all that. I think, especially on that, like the animations and stuff, and how they said, I think they said when X and Y came out that they like future tested, all the stuff, so they made the renders like more than the 3DS could handle, and that was so that future games would have those Pokemon and those renders. They could just easily import them over. And now to say,
Mhm.
well, we have to remake all the Pokemon for Switch, so we can't add them all is it's such a letdown. In terms of adding new Pokemon, I kind of wish they had maybe just like they could go with. I love the forms and I loved Mega Evolutions, and I wish maybe
Mhm.
they had just taken old Pokemon and done more forms of old Pokemon, more Mega Evolutions of old Pokemon. Not to be too much of like a Gen Oneer here, but like just doing that doesn't beef up the decks so much. So you could like kind of do that and not have 800 plus Pokemon. I feel like maybe they should have thought of that a little earlier on, so that they didn't get to the point where maybe they have too many Pokemon to add. But and then your point about uh, Detective Pikachu movie and kind of handing out the IP a little bit. Yeah, I totally agree. I think Pokemon needs to hand out the Pokemon franchise a bit more. I think it's like you said, the biggest grossing media franchise in the world. It makes so much money.
Yeah.
At a certain point when something gets that huge, the creators kind of have to give that away, give that out to the public. It becomes sort of just part of our culture, and other people have to be able to contribute to that. And I feel like Game
It
Freaks
probably
is
has to do also with, I think, the budget that they get, right? I think that the gaming part of the Pokemon franchise gets less budget than, of course, the movie. That is like mega gigantic. That's
yeah.
like 17 video games. So that too, right?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like they need to probably put more money into the games, as the games are the core of Pokemon. And like you were saying about like an open world Pokemon game, the sort of thing everybody has wanted forever. I feel like that needs to happen eventually, and they probably need to cast off the idea that the Game Boy game from 1996 or whatever it was. That formula was great, but why don't you think of the concept for Pokemon, the idea of being a trainer, going out in the world and catching Pokemon, and act like it doesn't have 20 plus years behind it of building up these games. And just if you just had that idea and you wanted to make a game with today's technology, I do not think the Pokemon games would play the way the Pokemon games do. We'd get something closer to like Breath of the Wild. If you just had that concept, like for like what the anime looks like and stuff like that, what the world is like, you would probably design the game differently. So I really feel like they need to cast off the the stuff that we've just been bogged down with over years and years, which was great at the time, and just totally revamp, start from scratch with just the idea and see what game that would create.
Right, and they
Absolutely.
do
I
that with
agree
the mobile
100%.
games. Yeah, absolutely. I think they do that with the to a good extent, right? I think that Pokemon Go for mobile, that was that transformation for them,
Yes,
right? If
yes,
they could have done something like that for consoles, and they tried doing Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, and in some respects that was really cool because we had Pokemon that we could ride or that we could take with us. So that evolved things, no pun intended, that evolved things in a pretty big way. And in other ways, it pretty much was a big letdown to a lot of people because of the first
Mhm.
consoles was basically still this grid-based remake. And now with Sword and Shield, I agree what you're saying. The evolution of the franchise has been stagnating so much. And if you think about franchises within Nintendo's history, even Zelda is massively transforming throughout the ages. Just looking at Ocarina of Time and then
right.
Wind Waker and then like
Mhm.
Skyward Sword. I generally love that one. That did a whole lot of good too. And then of course Metroid. Think of with that stuff, going first person shooter. And if you could just think about Pokemon in terms of, okay, let's not think about what generation, let's not think about making new Pokemon. Let's think about story and gameplay first. Those
Right.
two big elements. And then, just as you said, Papagenos, I think that it will be a completely different math formula, right? I think that it will be, oh, wait, work to have it in third person or or top down or whatever, like that'll come with some big revelations.
Right, yeah, just the gameplay of Pokemon, if you just think of the concept of Pokemon, I don't think the gameplay that we have is what you would do if that concept was thought up today. it made sense for the Game Boy, but at this point, I feel like we're just holding on to a lot of things from the Game Boy just because we've just been adding a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here as we've gone forward. And I think they need to just kind of toss it all out and start from scratch with just the concept and see what we get. And I think it would be a much better game.
I mean, you could even look at the anime and see how different that is.
Right.
I mean, you take a look at like Ash Battle. I mean, do you guys remember one of my favorite episodes of the Pokemon Indigo League anime was when Lieutenant Surge and Ash faced off, and Ash did all of these crazy moves with his Pikachu and ended up winning, like standing on his tail and stuff. And I know that might be a little difficult to like get in, but like I think it'd be cool if we could do some kind of like dodging mechanic and everything else like that. But I definitely agree with the with that they want to stick to what they know, because that's what's honestly made them so much money over these years. The games are very similar in a lot of ways. I mean, you the same battle mechanics, same everything else. But I definitely think that switching to the open world formula and just changing it is going to make a lot of more people interested in it, because once again, who wants to play the same game over and over? Yes, I understand that they're different games in terms of story and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you're still walking around, you're still battling people, you're still catching Pokemon, and introducing stuff, PapaGenos, like you said, like Mega Evolutions, awesome. Would have loved to see more of them. But one of the reasons I don't think they're doing that is because how could they justify it being Generation 8 if they only included a couple brand new Pokemon, right? I guess that's kind of the way I'm seeing. So let's say we go in and we just get the Pokemon announced so far. The starters, Drulagon, could you really justify a new, like, call it a new generation without a new form of Pokemon and characters and everything else like that? I guess that's kind of just where I'm sitting. Oh, and another thing I wanted to bring up was, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but the anime is apparently going to be focusing on all of the different regions. So on September 29th, for those of you guys who don't know, the Pokemon Company actually made an announcement that there was going to be something to do with like all of the different generations and all the different regions in it. So I don't know. I just, those are my thoughts on it. Honestly, I know it might sound a little weird.
I hadn't heard that anime thing. That's pretty cool though. If they are gonna go back to like either other regions or just have characters from all the regions come together. I haven't kept up with the anime in a long, long time, but you know, I love the old stuff. I'll occasionally go and watch an old episode of Pokemon for nostalgia.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you know, it's cool if they're bringing everything back. I know. I think they had like some episodes where like Brock comes back or Misty comes back. Like they have stuff like that happen every once in a while. So yeah, it'd be really cool if they somehow kind of solidified all the generations together into one for the anime. That'd be cool.
For me, it's this thing where it's got such a rich history, but it also reinvents itself in terms of, oh yeah, new year, new region,
Hmm.
new Pokemon. So it's difficult to think about that fact, right? Do you celebrate everything that came before, or do you completely, rewrite history basically and say,
Hmm.
planet, and this is basically Pokemon number one, and you do a whole reboot? That'll probably never happen. But to me, what could be interesting is to think about a reboot in a sense of, yeah, maybe there is this different world out there in outer space where people don't know any of the Pokemon in that world, but there's like new stuff that we don't know, and that goes into like alternate universe or planets and that kind of stuff. But that could justify not bringing back all Pokemon and everything having a different mechanic. Maybe you don't have four moves per Pokemon. Maybe that gets changed up. Maybe it's not turn based. Maybe it's more action driven. Kind of still turn based in some aspects, like a Final Fantasy 15 or a Kingdom Hearts. I really think that if they just let go of the formulaic stuff that we really, really don't really want anymore, right? I mean, how many times are you going to get those gym badges and, going to meet your rival and get the Pokemon from the professor? And other games and other franchises, they do away with that pretty quickly. And yeah, if you look at Mario, of course, Peach gets kidnapped, right? But they did something really interesting in Mario Odyssey, and I think in terms of story, up significantly, right? That opened up the world a little bit more, and even at the ending of that game, it pretty much changed the status quo of the damsel in distress too. So
Yep.
where the franchise is going to go, that's interesting to me. And I feel like Pokemon might need a little bit out of the books of Breath of the Wild and Mario in terms of reinvention. So to have an idea where it's all of these generations being brought together, because I could definitely see, oh, these are the world championships, and basically you got to get one gym badge from every region. You got to
Oh, that'd be
travel to
sweet.
every region to one specific gym. The grass gym from this one, and the rock gym from this one, and then it'll come together in like some platform above the earth or something. I don't know why I'm going galactic with this stuff all the time, but I just think we need Pokemon in space. But yeah, that idea could be really cool. So it'd be like a globe-trotting adventure. One moment you'd be in Pallet Town, and one moment you'd be in Johto, because that specific one gym that you need to revisit, and there's a different guy there now, and he has different Pokemon, whatever. So yeah, I agree with you guys' ideas that they need to bring a lot of that love from the anime. I could just see that episode where Ash is fighting Brock, and I believe Pikachu hits the sprinkler system or something.
Yep, yep.
It's awesome episode, iconic.
He beats Onyx because Pikachu hits the sprinkler system, and Onyx get doused in water, and then of course the electric attack pretty much finishes him. And now, if you do an electric attack on a rock type in a video game, that's a lot different. So, switching things up. Breath of the Wild does that very well, where it's like, oh yeah, but you can, make wind with fire, and then you can use this, and you can float up the drafts, and then you can hit the arrow, and you can use the physics to do this. Have some sort of creative new element to things instead of just this attack does this much HP,
Right.
and this attack does yeah, right. So I think that will drastically change it, but I do not think that they are ready for that at all. And I think the games sell pretty well, right?
Yeah, I think that's almost one of the issues is that the game sells so well that Game Freaks doesn't want to change anything. But now we're hearing the fan base actually say like it's getting stale. That's definitely what people are saying. We have they do side games and stuff like we have Pokken came out and that was totally different. You get to play as the Pokemon and fight.
Absolutely.
But it's almost like should we bring that
Great.
concept to the mainline games or make a totally new game with like I said just if you had the concept in mind what would you make the game like, and it might not be a turn-based RPG anymore, and that might be able to mimic like you said from the anime like where the sprinklers go off and stuff like that. If it was when you go into combat it's like you're playing like a fighting game like that might be able to mimic something like that. So I really do feel like they need to go back to square one. I think they've been doing great for a long time. I think it was the right idea to kind of keep the same concept for so long. But now I feel like the fans do feel it's getting a little stale. And there's some things too that are like from just the build up here that have no place in Pokemon. Like the idea of like breeding out a new Pokemon where I have to like ride my bike back and forth a million times to hatch the egg to get the right IVs. It's like that goes against the idea of like you have your friendship with the Pokemon, and it's the one that you stuck by that's the one that you should use. Like, that is such a concept of Pokemon. They need to be able to mimic that in the games, and they totally could now with, right gameplay, but they have this archaic gameplay from the Game Boy games that they're just holding on to that don't mimic that whatsoever. So, yeah, I just feel like... And there's some other things, too. Like, you mentioned... Mario Odyssey keeping like the damsel in distress thing, but changing a lot of other stuff. So Pokemon kind of needs to, I think, figure out what they want to keep and what should probably be played around with. Like, for instance, we have a fire, grass, and water starter in every single game. That's something you don't have to do. Like, that's not something I think the fans would be devastated over if you did a different trio, something like that. There's certain things in Pokemon that can definitely change, and other things that are things that the fans, like and want to hold on to. So I feel like Game Freaks needs to really think about what to keep, what to get rid of, and move forward if they want the fan base to be pleased with whatever the next game is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in terms of reinvention, I also think that it might be an idea to incorporate Labo VR to Pokemon, right? To live in the world of Pokemon, to have your Pokeballs at the ready, and just to walk through that world first person. And then, of course, basically engross yourself in this entire beautiful world. Well, Sword and Shield graphically doesn't look all that beautiful.
Right, right.
Honest, but I mean, like the idea of a VR Pokemon experience that could not be overlooked as well, because I think that's really what they want to have you feel like, right? You customize your character, you have your own little group of Pokemon with you, and how cool would it be to like literally live in that world? Open up your backpack and basically just have it in front of you and choose your different potions and then use them on your Pokemon in battle. I mean, that'd be really incredible, especially if it's online. And
Yes.
I would be fighting against one of you guys, and we could both be wearing these weird headsets and just live in the world of Pokemon. I think that would be a really fun like spin-off or next step for the franchise. So I really want to pitch in that idea of like VR Pokemon. We need it now.
I actually think that's a really good idea because not only would that promote the Pokemon games, but it would also really promote Labo, so it would really make it a double win for Nintendo. I mean, personally, I don't have Labo. It's just never
Me
really
either.
interested me. Callum, do you have Labo?
I have played around with it a lot. Nintendo invited me to a press event where I got to like fold a few things, but it never got my interest in that event where I was like, well, now I need to spend hours of my life in my living room making these cardboard things. But now that I see all the VR stuff, especially it coming to pretty much every game, it's like, oh, Breath of
Yeah.
the Wild VR, Odyssey VR, now there's Smash Ultimate VR. But I don't want to invest in that just yet because I think they're going to spin it around. I think they're going to come out with a real VR option and real, in quotes. I think they're going to do either a new console based on the VR experience or they're going to just repackage Labo because I think that people think of Labo now as the cardboard thing. And I think they want to go big with VR because they're attaching it to every one of their biggest franchises.
Mm-hmm.
So, in every single game, let's be honest, we can see VR. I mean, Luigi's Mansion, Ghosts in VR? Come on.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I played around with Labo a little bit at the Nintendo store in New York City, but I don't own Labo myself. But I do agree. I think VR would be a great step to take the Pokemon franchise. I think maybe part of the problem here with this backlash that people have with Sword and Shield is that they thought Pokemon moving from a handheld console to Nintendo's main console, the Switch, which
Right.
is also a handheld console, they assumed it was going to be a big jump, and it wasn't. So maybe something like VR or online, like MMORPG style Pokemon or something like that, would be that concept that allows Game Freaks to go, okay, this is different enough. We don't need to. Do what we always do with these games. We don't have to kind of, give that Gen 9, Gen 10, whatever sequel treatment to this because it's so different. We can kind of reinvent it and change things up. So maybe they just need that jump. I think people are mostly just upset because they thought that jump would be coming to the Switch, and it turns out it's not. In terms of VR itself moving like Nintendo's franchises forward, this is the way I look at it. I remember back in the early mid 90s when some game systems were coming out that were like talking all about their graphics or they were going to be 3D graphics or something like that. There was like the Jaguar and the Sega Saturn and stuff like that. And these were like, oh man, are we moving to 3D yet? Are we moving to 3D yet? And I remember waiting it out, and the first 3D, 3D in terms of like polygonal graphics system I got was the N64, and I had waited it out until it got there.
Oh,
And so many people kind of got burned on those early systems. They were really expensive, and they didn't, they just didn't have the games. It wasn't really there yet. And I felt that way ever since I saw like Oculus Rift and just like the VR coming out. I felt like this is really cool and this might be where we're headed, but I don't think we're there yet. So I feel the same way with Labo VR. I feel like we're not there yet, but maybe Nintendo's next console will be VR. Maybe the next VR thing will be, the N64 or the PlayStation of moving to VR. So hopefully something like that happens soon, but I don't want to be the guinea pig for the early adoption of that system yet. So I'm waiting it out.
right. I think there's a lot of cool things they could do with VR too. I mean, look at games like Mario Kart. I mean, if you put on a VR headset, you could have kind of a first-person thing while you're driving around. And again, you couldn't do that with Labo, obviously, but it'd be super cool to do something like that. I'd absolutely love to see it. And then maybe we could get the perspective of like of the Pokemon trainer or something else like that, like Callum said. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff they could do with VR, but at the same time, I mean, like right now we have Labo, and they're kind of giving us, it seems like, tastes of VR. Like
Yes.
in Odyssey, I'm pretty sure there's like, it's only a small section, right, where you can have like actual VR games, and in Breath of the Wild, you just kind of get to like play in VR, and that's really cool. Like, it's just not something that really interests me, because it's just something that hasn't pushed me. Like, I'm not gonna buy a Labo VR headset to play extra mini game in Mario Odyssey, or to play, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna do that because that just doesn't appeal to me. It's not worth it. Like, it's cool, but I feel like if I have a friend who is Labo, why not just borrow his and play it like that? I don't need to own my own quite yet, because Nintendo's not there with their virtual reality.
Yeah, they haven't like gone all in yet on VR, even though like you said, block content where they're putting it in each of their major franchises. So I do feel like they're testing the water, and that might be the direction they're heading in. But I just don't want to do it at this point. So that's where I'm at with it.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Same here.
All right. Well, I think we've been talking about Pokemon for like 40 minutes. So I'm going to ask each of you guys this question, and I think we should move on. We should definitely do more Pokemon discussions later.
Sure.
You can choose any Pokemon for a Galarian form. What would it be? It could be legendary, starters, anything.
I'll throw out there. I mean, I don't know how much people are following leaks and stuff, but I did hear Farfetch'd might either get. I don't know if it was a Galarian form or a Dynamax, but Farfetch'd needs some love, man. Farfetch'd has been around for a long time, totally overlooked, and I always thought he was a cool concept for Pokemon. So yeah, I'd say Farfetch'd, even though I'm pretty sure that probably is going to happen.
Yeah, dude, Surfetch. That's going to be a super cool Pokemon. I'm really looking forward to it, because Farfetch, you're right, highly underrated. Yep. All right, Callum, what about you? What do you think?
Okay, that's interesting. To me, let's do Licky Tongue, but
nice.
Licky Tongue having a Galarian form where it basically only sips things instead of licks things, so it sips tea or something like that. You know, that would be really cool.
That is so like British. I love it.
Dude, if you go UK, you should definitely do that. Yeah. Give it a monocle too.
Dude, yes. A monocle and a top hat while they're in the UK.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Everybody in the live chat of either PapaGenos or LaxChris or blocked content, let me know in the comments if anyone's going to draw that fan art. It's Licky Tongue. It's Licky Tongue, but it's blue Licky Tongue, but it doesn't have the tongue up, but it like sips a lot of things, so it's kind of like curvy, but it has a giant like tea, and it just drinks tea. And it has a monocle, and it does not have a top hat, because I think Weezing's got the top hat privileges. So if anyone's going to draw that, we will feature it on our channels. We will do that.
All right. Well, mine's a little bit different, because honestly...
Hold on. I've got a name. It'll be called Sippy Tongue.
Sippy Tongue! Yes. I love the idea that the Licky Tongue is so boorish, just has his tongue like hanging out all the time, and that the Galarian form would be like super proper. He'd be very proper. It's hilarious.
Boy, you know, and he'd be like,
that'd be amazing.
Normal Licky Tongue, like, oh, you barbarian.
I guess mine, honestly, I would have to say, and I know this is going to sound weird, but I would love to see a Galarian form of Pikachu, and the reason I say that is because we've had tons of Pikachu clones, right? We've had Morpeko is the most recent one, Togedemaru, we've had all these other different Galarian forms, but Pikachu has stayed the same for over 20 years. I kind of just want to see a different kind of Pikachu. We have a Alolan Raichu, but no Alolan Pikachu. I understand that Pikachu is like the face of the company, but it would be absolutely awesome to see like Pikachu kind of reinvented.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
I think that seeing just a reinvented, like if we're talking about reinventing the Pokemon franchise, why not try and reinvent their mascot a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about how Pokemon's gotten stale, so Pikachu seems like the face of the franchise, so you do something different with that, then yeah, there's some very base reinvention.
Crazy. We should maybe do a Pikachu, like an ice form Pikachu, or an ice and thunder, and it'll
dragon.
It like sneezes the entire time, so it's like Pikachu, and then it just basically sneezes thunder and ice or something like that, because it has a cold.
Sick Pikachu.
Something in there is an idea.
No, I like it.
I absolutely love it. My chat is saying that we need to talk about something else.
Yeah, let's move off of Pokemon. So we have this Nintendo Direct coming up. Obviously, we know Pokemon's gonna be in it. The other game we know for sure that's gonna be in it, though I don't have as much to say about this one as I did for Pokemon, is Luigi's Mansion 3. So what do you guys think we're gonna see there?
No.
Okay, so I feel like most of the game we've already seen in trailers and stuff, and there isn't a whole lot that like looking forward to. Honestly, the thing I'm looking forward to most in Luigi's Mansion 3 is the multiplayer aspect.
Yes, I love that on the DS one, actually, the 3DS one.
I know, dude, it was so underrated, right?
Yes, very underrated. A friend of mine got that game. She's like a big Luigi's Mansion fan. Got that game, and we like just I forget why we were like, yeah, let's try out the multiplayer thing. It wasn't gonna be that good, and then we ended up playing it for like 4 hours. Like it was great.
I
So
know.
yeah, it was good.
The story looks cool. Luigi looks cool, but like I really want to have some cool kind of online or like multiplayer game that we could play online. Like, how cool would it be? Like, I stream, so like playing with my viewers, Luigi's Mansion, some kind of fun games would be awesome. I'd absolutely love to see that because
Cool.
you know
Yeah.
I feel like
Definitely.
Mansion is also starting to evolve.
Yeah.
Poltergust and everything else like that, like. We had the original Luigi's Mansion. Dark Moon was very different from it, and now we have Luigi's Mansion 3, and I feel like it's going to be very different as well. So, like, I want to see a cool online mode where you can play with your friends and everything else like that. I don't know, man. Like, honestly, that's the thing I'm most excited for about Luigi's Mansion 3 is just that multiplayer aspect.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, I love that on the 3DS one. Definitely underrated. If there's something I want to see from Luigi's Mansion 3, I like the hotel concept. I like everything they're going with so far. So, but for me, it's kind of just more gameplay is kind of what I want to see. But the one thing I can think of specifically that would be really cool to see would be Waluigi, because Waluigi is never in like, I mean, I don't know if the Luigi Mansion games are mainline Mario games, but Waluigi is always just like in the sports games and the spin-offs and stuff, the Mario parties. Yeah, right. So I would love to see Waluigi. I mean, if this is a Luigi-focused game, maybe this is finally the chance to bring Waluigi into a more mainstream Mario game. And after the fan outcry for Waluigi in Smash, I'm hopeful maybe Nintendo has taken note that fans do like Waluigi and they'll put him in more stuff.
Dude, make him the player 2 for the multiplayer.
There you go.
Like, he'd be perfect. And plus, if there's like a versus multiplayer game, how great would it be to do Luigi versus his rival?
Yeah, or Waluigi somehow, like, maybe he owns the hotel or something. Like, he's the secret bad guy or something. Like, something like that would just be great. I'd love to see it.
Dude, that'd be amazing.
Crazy Waluigi theory. Like, everyone wants to appear, but Waluigi is actually the ghost in, like, the final floor, so he died somewhere.
Oh, jeez.
Like, when he appears in the game, he's like, like moving through walls and everything.
Oh, geez, so like we finally get Waluigi in like a more mainstream Mario game, and Nintendo kills him off.
That would be amazing.
Oh, jeez.
Like Luigi's Mansion 3, pretty hyped about that game. I gotta be honest. Like, I loved the first game in the series. I think that was like this very rare, just the GameCube and the GameCube games edges, had these kind of weird, out there, outlandish ideas. If you look at Smash Brothers Melee, that's a prime example. Like, look at how Yoshi looks in that game, or DK.
Yep.
Look at Bowser, or look at games like Mario Sunshine and the weird world and the strange enemies. And Luigi's Mansion to me was like that too, with all the portrait ghosts and the darker tone. Like, really, that game was dark. Like, some corridors, literally, you could see, but like in terms of tone, also, I thought it was very dark and interesting for a Nintendo game to do that. Might have been, I was pretty young too playing that game. It was my first GameCube game. I think I got it at launch, if that's possible.
Yeah, it was a launch title.
But the idea of this new game lending a little bit from that original the color palette. You could see it in Luigi's emotions and animations, but also the Dark Moon, which I played and I actually liked a lot. But of course, it was a little bit mission driven, right? Like it
Yep.
wasn't. It was like these different missions, these goalposts that you had to get through, and it wasn't this big hub kind of thing. And I feel like they're doing a mix of both, right, in this new game. And what I like about that fact is that they know that there's one audience that wants this thing, there's one part of the audience that wants that thing, and they basically bring it together to form this beautiful whole. And just to call it Luigi's Mansion 3 and not some kind of subtitle makes me very excited for the fact that it will be really proper, that it will be full of content. We already know about some great like multiplayer stuff, and I really believe that a lot of people are actually going to be playing that, especially with the Luigi stuff. And you'll have like 8 or like 16 Luigis on screen. But also the fact that, of course, you have this big story now. We don't know what happens with Peach and Mario and Toad. And to me, it's time to show people the charm of Luigi, the world of Luigi, and why he can, carry this franchise all of his own. And to me, Luigi is a character that is severely misunderstood by Nintendo. I think that he's not just a scaredy cat all the time. I think that Luigi is full on heroic. Because of course he faces these things that Mario never even faces. Mario goes to ghost houses and stuff like that, but it's platforming stuff. Luigi like actually like goes in the nitty gritty of stuff.
Yes.
It's like in like horror kind of stuff. So he's like the unsung hero. Like Snake would probably make fun of him. As he does in like Smash Bros. It's like, oh, it's the the yeah, he looks so pale, Snake, in his brother's shadow for too long. Feel like it's time for Luigi to come back into the limelight. And with Luigi's Mansion 3, gotta be honest, looks great, good graphics, and a lot of fun. Like all those floors, that like movie set floor.
Yes.
To me, that's like prime Nintendo. Throw some weird GameCube era type ideas around, and let's just have fun with this, and let's not make it formulaic. And to me, that's when Nintendo's at its best.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. We were just talking about how the Pokemon franchise is stale, and I have to say, Luigi's Mansion is the exact opposite. It's about as fresh and unique of a Mario title as you can get. So I'm excited about that as well.
Agreed 100%. Okay, speaking of Mario games, guys, I know this is a little off topic, and we can go back to Luigi's Mansion 3 if you guys want.
I know what you're
Let's talk about the picture. Let's talk about the picture. Let's talk about the tweet that Nintendo sent out talking about the Summer Odyssey and hoped it was full of sunshine.
all right.
I know. We gotta put on our like conspiracy theory hats here, guys. But what are the chances of Super Mario Sunshine 2? Because Super Mario Sunshine is one of my favorite games of all time. And I gotta know. What do you guys think?
Genos, I think you got to take this one because
sure.
I need to talk about this watermelon stuff.
Sure. All right. So interesting thing about Mario Sunshine before that tweet happened, just with me personally, was that my brother had never played Mario Sunshine. He was like younger when I got it. He watched me play it, but he had never played it himself. So like a week before that tweet happened, he played Mario Sunshine for the first time. Himself, beat the whole thing, 100% of it, got all the blue coins, every shine and stuff like that. And I basically watched him do most of it. So it was very much so on my mind. And then boom, Nintendo tweeted that, and I was like, whoa, okay. And we had all that, like we had Delfino Island on the map for Mario Odyssey. It really felt like that was going to be a kingdom or a DLC kingdom. And I'm wondering if something similar to what happened with what they said happened with Breath of the Wild is happening with Mario Odyssey. So with Breath of the Wild, they said that when they were going to make the DLC, they had so many ideas, they decided to just make Breath of the Wild 2 instead. And I'm wondering if they were originally planning to just do like Delfino Island as some sort of Mario Odyssey DLC, and have now decided, you know what, let's just make a second game. Now, whether or not that is a second Mario Odyssey or a second Mario Sunshine, I do not know. But I am happy with either, so we will see what they do. That's my thoughts on all that.
They actually did. That's the same thing that happened with Mario Galaxy. The reason we got a second one was because they just had too many ideas to put into the original one, so they ended up just moving it to a second game.
Yep.
Mario Odyssey is 100% a game that needs a sequel. I mean, personally, guys, I'm not a huge fan of 3D Mario anymore. Super Mario Maker, awesome. I love that game because everybody can create everything, but I didn't pick up New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe because I've done it before. It has some new stuff. Like, it's just kind of boring, plain old 2D Mario. While as 3D Mario, every game is different. Mario Sunshine, we had Flood. Mario in the Mario Galaxy games, we have the Luma that helped us spin. In Mario Odyssey, we have Cappy. Like, each of these games are always so innovative, and Mario Odyssey was super successful too. Like, this game, like, it's a Mario game. Of course, it's going to be successful, but it's a 3D Mario game that was really successful, and I think that that's something that Nintendo noticed. So hopefully they'll go ahead and pull the trigger and make Mario Odyssey 2, because, like, oh man, that would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Could this be the Nintendo Direct where that game gets announced? You guys think?
So
might be one of the greatest Nintendo Directs of all time if it does.
so here's the thing about this Nintendo Direct. They said it's going to focus on 2019 Switch games. They could still announce something like Mario Odyssey 2 or Mario Sunshine 2, you know, whatever it's going to be. I think either way it would do something with Mario Sunshine, because they kind of teased that in the first Mario Odyssey, and that tweet definitely teased that. So whatever they do, I do think it'll do that. But I don't know if they'll show too much of it, because I was thinking about other games that might get shown off, like maybe we'll see something from Metroid or even Animal Crossing, but those don't come out in 2019. So maybe only a little bit of that stuff. I don't think we'll get too much of a focus, but they could still announce it. And then Chris, on your point about the like 2D Mario's, I do feel like Mario Maker is like the pinnacle, and they should probably only be making like just more Mario Maker stuff from now on, because I feel like the 2D games did kind of get stale, kind of reached their zenith, they reached the peak. You know, that's just the best they can be. But the 3D Mario games, yeah, they're always very innovative, and I'm happy to see what they do with the next one of those.
If we do end up getting like the announcement of Mario Odyssey 2, I feel like it's going to be at the end of the Direct, similar to what happened with Breath of the Wild. Because
Yes.
if you remember with Breath of the Wild 2, it just came out of nowhere. We got the Banjo-Kazooie reveal trailer, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, Banjo-Kazooie and Smash. Like, how could this Direct get any better? And then they dropped the bomb of Breath of the Wild 2 on us, and we don't even have like a release window for that, I don't think. Did it say 2020? I don't remember.
I don't think so. I don't think we have a release date.
So maybe they'll do the same thing with Mario Odyssey 2, where just at the end they have, you know, they show off the Smash character, and then it's like, this is coming, but you're not getting a ton of information about it. Because, yes, you're right, I totally forgot about that. It's supposed to show off 2019 Switch games, but that doesn't mean that at the end they can't drop a huge bomb, which we know that Nintendo is famous for.
Yeah, I agree. I think they could definitely announce it. I don't know if they go very in depth with it, but the first announcement usually doesn't go in depth anyway. So yeah, Smash reveal, then Mario Odyssey announce would be very similar to E3's Banjo reveal, and then Breath of the Wild 2, which was a 1-2 punch. So if they do that again, geez, Nintendo, you guys are doing too good.
Yeah, I think that Mario Odyssey would be where it's like, that's pure gold. If they're gonna do a sequel, it's gonna be great either way. If you think about the fact that it could be a sequel or a new game, you know, it could be like Sunshine inspired, as they kind of hinted at.
Yep.
That'd be cool too. But if it would just be Mario Odyssey 2, and of course they did Galaxy 2, so they could definitely do that. Like, that's. I gotta be honest, Super Mario Odyssey, I think, is like my favorite game of all time at this moment.
It was so good.
Like,
I'm sure you're not alone in that opinion either.
Really good. Yeah, that game is like so incredibly charming, detailed, and full of love. And I think that you can play it basically forever. You know, those worlds are just expansive and fun and creative, and you can like master it in a really fun way.
Yeah, I love.
In terms of having more of that game, I feel like that is something that everyone would kind of subscribe to. Idea of having a reinvention of that, right? What if the new game doesn't have Cappy? What if the new game has some sort of new mechanic? Or what if we do have Cappy, but we have a new playable character aside from Mario 2? And what if we even have new kingdoms, or kingdoms that we didn't fully explore in the full game, like the Cloud Kingdom, the Ruined Kingdom?
Yes, I'd love to see those.
There's so much.
Oh my gosh, the Ruined Kingdom would be awesome.
There's so much that they can do with a second Mario Odyssey game, but I could definitely see Nintendo not doing Odyssey 2, just because that game was so special, and it was such a, you know, hit, and Nintendo really wants to keep that Mario franchise as the most beautiful, inventive thing. So they'll do something new, but also, they've removed certain things in terms of Delfino Plaza in Mario Odyssey. If you look
Yes.
at the world map, I think it's the in-game model of the world map that is on the Odyssey. It actually has like the textures on it for like different bumps and grooves of the places,
Oh
all the
wow.
different places. And there is a Delfino Plaza on there, but it's textured with water, so it's still bumped out, like outward, but it's textured with water. So they modeled it, but then when they probably cut Delfino Plaza, they changed the texture to water so people wouldn't notice. But now, of course, people have like data mined that stuff and found it. So how crazy is it that that was pretty obviously, because it's like in the early trailers as well. There's like this big red background with all these kingdoms, and you can clearly see Delfino Plaza there. So the idea here is, what would they do? Would it be basically Odyssey plus Sunshine kind of sequel? Would it just be tropical stuff like Sunshine, or would it be DLC, which I don't think will happen at all? I think that that's a
Yeah, that's
I
probably
think that
outside.
it's past time
We're
for
coming up
DLC,
on two
right?
years of that game.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. Or is it going to be, a reinvention? Or is it just going to be Odyssey 2 and one of the kingdoms is the Sunshine Kingdom, with a couple of stuff from the Sunshine game, the Pina Park level and Gelato Beach, that kind of stuff. I don't know, but it is
Oh
one
my
of the more
god.
interesting things, right? So it feels weird to announce it right now. And I think PapaGenos, I think in one of your videos you mention it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it would feel weird for a Sunshine type game to be announced at the end of summer when everybody's going back to the cloud anymore.
I don't think I said
I
that,
don't
but
know.
I agree. But I
Timing.
agree with it. I don't know who you heard it from, but I agree with that sentiment. I do think if we're doing some sort of sequel here to potentially Mario Sunshine and Odyssey, be really cool gameplay wise if it was like you could use Cappy or you could use Flood and you got to like change back and forth between them for different levels or different things. Like that would be a neat way to kind of fuse those two games if that's what they're going for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with
Another thing I
Mario
wanted to
Odyssey, it's a template, man. It's just a template.
Yeah, I mean the gameplay for that, like I have a friend who dabbles in like speed running it and it's just it's so neat to watch. Like there's just so much you can do with the gameplay in Odyssey. So same
So
with
there's
same with
people
Sunshine too. So to see both those styles of controlling Mario fused into one game would be so cool.
people in the comments that are basically saying, Xanju here is saying, "Excuse me, it will be summer in the southern hemisphere." So
Oh,
yeah,
true.
that is correct. So really, summer doesn't really mean like, oh, it's past time. I guess so. Yeah, I guess you're right. So in other words, we could totally be getting sunshine.
True that. And I
um
mean, if you look at the world map, Delfino is in the southern hemisphere of Mario's
Southern
world. So
hemisphere. Yeah,
good point.
smart.
I wanted to touch on briefly is one of the things that Nintendo has been changing, especially with 3D Mario, is like in 2D Mario, you really don't have those interesting characters, which I think is a big part of the Mario universe now. Like in the 2D Mario's, you got the Toads, you steal Princess Peach, but in like Mario Odyssey, for example, like one of the best parts about that game is going to different worlds and talking to the different inhabitants and learning about them and like being able to figure out who these characters are. Which is, if you guys couldn't tell, I'm leading into another subject which I'm very hopeful for. Um, Adding in islands like Isle Delfino would be absolutely amazing. Like able to interact with Piantas again and do cool stuff like that would be absolutely awesome. And maybe they could do it for other Mario Odyssey or other Mario 3D games as well. Like maybe they could do something for Mario Galaxy where you run into Rosalina or some of the Lumas, or they could do something again with Mario 64 where this time you could go into paintings, like maybe you could go to Bomb on Battlefield instead of just like that little Easter egg at the end where you end up in the Mario 64 world.
Yep.
But I definitely think that it'd be really, really cool if we were able to kind of explore and celebrate all of Mario's history in one of Mario's biggest games.
Oh, dude. So think of this, right? Super Mario Generations. What
Ooh.
about that, right? The
That
idea of
dude, that'd be
Mario
amazing.
returning to the idea of Mario returning to World 1-1, but it'd be 3D, and then like Super Mario World, like a level from that, like Dinosaur Island, and
Oh,
then some stuff from Mario 3, and one level from Galaxy, and one level from 64, but all in like the Odyssey style, right? And maybe like some 2D level sections that they have in Odyssey, so that you have that classic versus new Mario. So it's like Sprite Mario's on the box art, but also the like normal Mario. So Mario Generations,
that
that'd be
oh,
like mind-bendingly awesome.
that
It
would
also might be cool if you're able to use some of the power-ups from those games. Like in the Sunshine world, you could use Flood. In
yes.
the Galaxy world, you could use the Spin. In the Mario 64 world, what could you use? The Flying Cap. Like, there's so many different ways that they could do this. It would be amazing, dude.
Yeah, I oh wow no
Yahoo!
to,
Yahoo! Yahoo!
to do like a big love letter to all of those Mario games building up. I think that's something people have wanted for a long time, like getting Pauline in Mario Odyssey, or just
Yeah.
Mario Maker having like all the different themes from different games. I think Nintendo is finally realizing how much people really love all the stuff they've built up over the years. So yeah, to get a Mario game where each kingdom is like you said, like Mario 1 is a kingdom, and Mario World, Dinosaur Island, like Yoshi's Island is a kingdom, and one of the kingdoms you go to is like Rosalina's ship, or it's just out in space or something. It's a galaxy one. The Lumas are up there, and you can go to Delfino, and that would just be amazing. Especially like you said, if the gameplay actually changed between them. Wow, yeah, that's the Mario game I want. So thanks for getting my hopes up, guys.
Well, let's be honest, guys. This is probably not going to be announced in this direct as much as we want it to be. But who knows? Maybe somebody from Nintendo is listening. It's a long shot, but we want it if you're listening. But speaking of which, there's another thing that I think has the potential of being announced, and that is, since I know now that you both follow Arlo at least a little bit, I'm sure you guys have heard of the hashtag remaster Thousand Year Door. Now, Thousand
Yeah.
Year Door is one of my favorite games of all time. Like, it might be right behind Wind Waker as like my second favorite game. But I think that with the way that everything is going, and now that we see that Nintendo is starting to change as a company, it's very possible that we could see Paper Mario return to its roots and have interesting partners and interesting characters.
Exactly.
Because honestly, Sticker Star and Color Splash didn't grab me at all because it was filled with toads. Like I liked learning about, we got a baby Yoshi in the Thousand Year Door. Like there's just so much cool stuff that they could do with Paper Mario. And I think that now that we have been very, very vocal about wanting to get this back, it's possible that we might be seeing at the very, very least, a remaster of such an iconic game.
Yeah, I agree.
The remaster Thousand Year Door, man. I'm curious what PapaGenos thinks of this.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would love to see something done with the Paper Mario franchise. I agree with you, Chris. I think the last couple entries in the series have been weaker. I think fans have been pretty vocal about that. So yeah, seeing a remaster, that'd be cool. I'm totally down for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Have either of you guys played? I'm sure PapaGenos and Block on it. You guys have at least played a little bit of the original two Paper Mario games, but like, for me, this is one of my top 3 favorite games of all time. So this is something I want very bad. I mean, even if they just port it over exactly how it is, that would make a lot of people happy because right now you can't get a copy of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door for less than $100, and you also need a GameCube, the controller, all the setup, and everything else like that. So at the very least, I'm hoping for a port. Just give us a port. Let's show you guys that we like this game, this style of Paper Mario better than Color Splash and Sticker Star, and maybe things will start to change in the Paper Mario world.
So speaking of getting a port of old GameCube games, this can kind of transition into an interesting topic that I think we almost certainly are going to see in this direct. Do you guys think we're going to get Super NES games on like the Nintendo Online thing? We have NES games right now. I think there was a data mine for Super NES games, and I would love for them to continue this and give us like N64 games eventually and GameCube games eventually. But do you guys think Super NES games are going to show up in this direct?
At this point, in my opinion, I think that Nintendo Switch Online is very, very divisive. You people firmly on each side. You have some people that are like, I'm okay paying for this service, and it's cool the stuff that they offer. But I think that Nintendo needs to keep supporting SNE or the Nintendo Switch Online, or else some people are going to start falling off of it. I mean, I understand if you want to play games online, then you absolutely have to have this. There's no way around it. But since Nintendo isn't using dedicated servers, and since the Nintendo Switch Online subscriptions are going to renew in the next couple of weeks, adding in something new like the SNES Online would make a ton of sense, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's about time too, right? I feel like I don't
Absolutely.
have my money's. I've talked about this on the channel, but I feel like I don't get my money's worth with this current Nintendo Online system. Like all that I
Mm.
basically get is that I already owned or don't want to own, and also online that I already had for free. So
Yep.
I don't feel like I have that good of a deal. I think all the other game companies have much greater deals in terms of, even Xbox having like this Game Pass thing where you can get like free games every month, like big AAA games. I think that Nintendo's severely behind on this aspect of everything. So just having SNES games, yeah, those games are a lot more sophisticated than NES games if they choose the right ones. Some of the Contra stuff, some of the Link to the Pasts and Mario All Stars, like the big ones. Then I think that they're doing something right, but give us a little bit more toward that Nintendo library, right? The idea of creating maybe Game Boy Advance games or DS games, maybe N64 games, and just throwing GameCube there. We never got GameCube on the Wii U or the Wii, and I think it's about time. So it feels, again, so many years behind now. Talking about maybe getting SNES games,
Right.
that that's totally crazy. Oh, and by the way, I want to interject with one thing. You guys, check out my stream. Somebody drew Sippy Tongue.
Yes.
And I put a picture up.
Oh
I
man.
Did you
think
guys see it?
with what you were saying about them being kind of behind, another thing I'd really like to see them implement is voice chat that isn't over your smartphone.
I
Yes,
think so.
please.
That was super weird, right? Like having to like the Switch has a headphone jack, and like we have to use our phones to talk. I'm looking at my Switch now. It's on the top of the Switch, so you could plug something into that or connect it wirelessly. But instead, Nintendo decided to go the route of talking through our smartphones instead of just doing the, I guess, easy thing and just plugging in headphones like, all of the other companies allow you to do.
That's crazy that they're still doing a like smartphone to talk thing. That's like so backwards, right?
I could just call somebody on my phone if I want to, right? I mean,
Right.
well, what's the point?
Exactly. Or talk over Discord. I don't want to
Yeah.
download the Nintendo Switch app to talk to my friends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
it's basically this idea of they really don't know which choice to make for things that don't pertain to that big artistic kind of thing, because they're pretty much leading in terms of charm and great gameplay. I think you can't find better quality in terms of that than Nintendo games. I feel like other games are really great at storytelling and big cinematic stuff and these great graphics, but I think Nintendo, it will always kind of be leading in that, charm, in sort of the iconography of video games
Yep.
because they were leading in that. But yeah, in terms of the back end of that, the coding aspect
Yep.
and getting the right servers up for online battles in certain games or getting the right online subscription service, and now the microphone stuff, talking to people while playing games. Even Mario Maker 2, like I could have had so much fun with that game, playing with the fans together, creating rooms and playing Mario Maker with my friends online, but that's still not possible. And I can't even fathom how they're not like hire some people that know how to do these things because they are out there, they're looking for that job, and they'll make your company so much better and more timely.
Yeah, I know.
And that. Oh, go ahead, PapaGenos.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like Nintendo, like you said, they're such a charming company. Their games are great, but they're so behind in terms of like the mechanical. I don't know what to call it. The the online, the chatting, all this stuff we're talking about. They're just behind in terms of all that stuff. So, like you said, the fact that we're only talking about like, I hope we get Super NES games, whereas the other the other online subscriptions give you like free games every month and all this stuff. It's like, and Chris, you mentioned how Thousand Year Door is like $100 GameCube game. It's like, and Nintendo's not making any money off of that. That's sitting in retro game stores or on eBay and stuff.
I know.
Yeah, so it's like
know.
Nintendo. If you have all these games, just, and we're paying for online, you want people to pay for the online. Like, give us the N64 library, give us the GameCube library, give us the Super NES library. Give us all that on the subscription, and hopefully get the online servers better and get chatting better. I'm hopeful that there's been a lot of collaboration between Nintendo and Microsoft lately, and I'm hopeful maybe that is leading towards Nintendo asking for help from Microsoft with that sort of thing. We have Banjo-Kazooie coming to Smash, so that shows, Nintendo and Microsoft are talking. So I'm hopeful that maybe Nintendo has admitted to themselves that they're just not they're not in 2019 with the rest of us in terms of online gameplay and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe they're reaching out for some help. And I don't know if you guys are ready to talk about this, but I'm itching to. Speaking of Microsoft, we got Banjo coming as our next DLC character.
Yeah.
We'll probably get a Smash character announcement tomorrow. Do you guys want to start talking about Smash here?
I think
that's you know what? I think we should do it.
All right.
All right. So here's the thing with Banjo-Kazooie. Once again, firmly on each side, we have people saying we're going to get the announcement of Banjo-Kazooie today, and we have other people saying that it's probably not going to happen for a little while because we're going to get a trailer like we did with Joker and the Hero. Now, personally, I think that we are going to end up seeing another Sakurai-style mini direct like we did with the Hero at a little bit later date because we saw that with the Hero and with Joker.
Yeah.
Now, those videos were what? Like, Joker's was 15 and the Hero's was 22?
Yep.
This is a 40-minute direct, right? So how is Sakurai going to have time to talk about Banjo-Kazooie's moveset and everything about the spirits he's bringing along and everything else like that in just like, they have to make time for everything else. Now, that could be the reason why this direct is longer than the E3 direct. Nintendo has a lot to talk about in this direct today, so where I stand on it. It'd be super cool if they were like, hey, Banjo-Kazooie's going to be released tomorrow. I'm kind of leaning towards them talking about it a little bit later because personally I am kind of a believer in the amiibo theory because we've seen it with Hero and Joker. So I have a feeling we're probably going to see him around the 24th or 25th. But don't get me wrong. If we get the announcement tonight that he's releasing tomorrow, go ahead, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I feel like I've waited long enough to get Banjo back on a Nintendo console. So I want Banjo as soon as possible. But I agree with everything you said. This is a 40-minute long direct, so if Sakurai's going to go over all the stuff that Banjo's coming with, that would be like half the direct. This is a long direct, but is it going to take up that much to talk about Banjo? And I'm also, I was also subscribing to Amiibo Theory, which is every time a wave of Amiibos come out, like 4 days later, we get a character released, and I think the next wave of Amiibos is the 20th, so Banjo, he falls on like the 24th, 25th. Yeah, marrying to your time zone, so it's somewhere around there, and also they said Banjo would release in the fall, and the fall doesn't start until September 23rd, but Piranha Plant, I think they said would come out some month, I forget what month they said, and it actually came out slightly before that. So it is possible Banjo could come out before that. The other thing going for Banjo coming out soon is this 7-Eleven ad that popped up in Japan. There was one for Hero that popped up, and I think it was like 4 days before the ad was said to go away from 7-Eleven, Hero was released. So last time Hero timed up with both Amiibo and 7-Eleven Theory. Now we have, I think the 7-Eleven ad gets taken down on the 15th. So yeah, I don't know if it's going to be Banjo on the 24th or Banjo earlier, like the 12th or something. But I'd rather have him earlier, obviously. I think it's more likely on the... I think it's more likely on the 24th. The other thing that's interesting with the 24th is when Rare got bought by Microsoft, it was September 24th. That was the date that happened. So to have Banjo... to have Banjo return exactly, I don't know how many years, like 17 years or something like that, later would be pretty on point. However, give me Banjo earlier, I'm not complaining. So I don't know when Banjo's going to release. I do think we'll probably hear something about him tomorrow, even if it's just Sakurai saying like next week or further this month, I'll do a video like Hero's video. So I do think we'll hear something.
I think that, well, I have something very interesting to say about Banjo and Kazooie. But in all honesty, I really feel like this is going to happen this direct. I feel probably one of the big reasons that we're going to get a direct, I think we're going to get Banjo. I think we're going to get a big move set, and I think we're going to get Banjo the next day, or even the day of the direct.
Oh,
I think that
today?
For me, like personally, like I don't want to dash any dreams. I'm so sorry if I'm destroying dreams if it doesn't happen. But I think that if I just have to theorize about this stuff, and we are the speculation squad, right?
Go for it.
So I feel like it totally is the right time, and I think that people all have this idea of like, yeah, Banjo should probably come a little bit later because they have this window where they're going to release him in, and they told us as much. But I feel like he's been ready now the time because they don't do a Nintendo Direct that often. Everybody will be watching, so everybody will be watching that Banjo thing, and when they get to reveal both the moveset and the release date, best marketing strategy that you can have. The biggest Nintendo platform is Nintendo Directs. So to announce announcement of when you're going to get Banjo, that's going to be weird. And to not have Smash info is going to be weird. And to have Smash info, but to it not be Banjo is going to be weird. So to me, it leaves only one option.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, when you look at it with what would the direct look like if they don't talk about Banjo, it is odd. It would feel absent. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and there's so much to talk about with the character that I agree with Chris a little bit. I think that there is so little time for all these different segments because you're going to want to talk about your astral change because it released and it's doing great. You're going to want to talk about your maybe DLC for other games like Three Houses or Mario Maker.
Yeah.
Of course, a big segment for Pokemon, big segment for Luigi, and maybe other big surprises coming. But I do believe that if there is time for a game, then Smash Brothers, I mean, that is always trending on Twitter. That is always making a ruckus. That, like, we three get a day job out of just talking about Smash Brothers and having fun with other fans of Smash Brothers, and that is huge. I think that Nintendo knows this. It's gonna be this direct. I feel, and you guys quote me on that if it doesn't happen, and you guys can enter the timestamp right now. But I think that in this Nintendo Direct, we are going to get information on Banjo. Feel that we're going to be playing as Banjo this week.
So I'll say this on I was thinking about it literally just right now in my head. Joker, when Joker's like video came out, we hadn't seen any gameplay of Joker, and with Hero's video, Hero has like more moves than any other character. 4 alts, more moves. We hadn't really seen that much of Hero. We've seen some stuff from Banjo with E3. So what do we have to go over with Banjo? We have to go over music. We have to go over some of the moves, but probably not as complicated as Hero's moves. We have to go over spirits, and then potentially. Well, yeah, we have to show Spiral Mountain a little bit more, explain Spiral Mountain if there's any kind of gimmick to it. Otherwise, they kind of did already show it. And then we just pretty much, if Banjo comes with, like, say, other modes or something, like if there's home run contest, or I know a lot of people have been guessing at a boss mode, and like Gruntilda might be a boss or something. So honestly, Banjo might have less to show than Joker did or Hero. Hero being a very complex character, and Joker having shown nothing up until that point. So with this direct being longer than usual, it is possible Banjo for like 10 minutes might be able to show off everything.
Right, you know what?
So much content comes with him as well, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, thank you. So I agree, honestly, and I just wanted to say, I think in terms of the Piranha Plant thing, what you were thinking was you were to register your Smash copy by January 31st, and then he was released sometime in February. I don't remember exactly. I'm not sure if that's what you were thinking, but I know that's what I was thinking when you were saying that.
Yeah, it was something like, or was he supposed to come out in February? And like, I think it came out January 31st. It was something we got him a little early, so it is possible we get Banjo early.
Yeah. But I think that, like you said, I mean, if this does end up happening, which once again I want it to, I'm just a little skeptical. If this does end up happening, the amiibo theory is pretty much out the door. Because then, you know, it wouldn't fall in line with that, which would mean that that theory is essentially dead.
Right.
Now, going back to the day that Rare bought Banjo-Kazooie on September 24th, like, that's crazy. I had no idea that was a thing, and I think it would be just amazing for Nintendo to be like, this is the day that you bought this company and we got Banjo-Kazooie, and on the same day, 17 years later, we ended up getting Banjo-Kazooie back with the Nintendo crew where he belongs, because, I mean, at the end of Banjo-Kazooie's reveal trailer, if you guys remember, we saw Banjo-Kazooie standing with all of the different Nintendo characters, you know, doing his peace sign, and I was like, this is so cool. Like, I think everyone got a sense of Banjo-Kazooie is home.
Yes. It was a very nostalgic, very like finally moment. I mean, even the old N64 boxes at one time had like Mario, Pikachu, Donkey Kong, and Banjo-Kazooie on it. Like they were a Nintendo character, and especially when I was younger, you know, I didn't quite understand companies and who owned what and stuff like that. So
you don't think about that, right?
Right, and with Banjo,
Banjo-Kazooie was in Diddy Kong Racing.
Yes.
Banjo-Kazooie is a part of the Nintendo family, because let's be honest, Microsoft is not doing him any favors with nuts and bolts and just leaving him basically to die.
Was on the box that I bought the Nintendo 64 in, or, well, I can't say bought, I got it for Christmas.
Yes.
But it was on that box, like on the Nintendo 64 console box, there was Banjo-Kazooie. Like, they are recognized to be a Nintendo franchise, and especially with nuts and bolts not having done that well. So I agree with you guys. That's just, they are home now, and I think that Grant Kirkhope is shedding many tears for the characters finally having all that love.
Look at Grant Kirkhope's tweets, yeah, you can tell that he is like ecstatic right now. He is loving it.
I saw, like, I think his first tweet was like a short video of him going to his computer and like turning on the song and saying like Banjo is home, and yeah, man, that was emotional. I could feel that was emotional for him, so that was great.
Absolutely, yeah, and in terms of music also, man, he's doing such a great job on that track. That, like, musically, how well it's constructed, and with all the orchestral elements, bringing back past themes, and also just the tempo of it, and having, like, this was like version 13 that he sent to Nintendo.
Wow.
Like, they kind of workshopped it together. I think that it really shows. It's a great evolution also for the character, and to like Grant Kirkhope's like credit, he is basically the Banjo-Kazooie franchise, because we all think about the music if we think about those characters, and to have the original composer back and him being so involved, and also, you know, very active on Twitter. He likes posts about, you know, the Nintendo Direct is coming, is Banjo coming too? Like, he liked a post on Twitter like yesterday. Yep. So that spells some good stuff. Oh, and by the way, I got to interject again. Check the live stream again. There's another art of Sippy Tongue.
you gotta send those to me afterwards.
Thank you so much for the $10 super chat, my man. I will read your message later. But going back to still holding on the build unique moves. Absolutely, Schultz. I'll read that to them in a little while. But going back to the Banjo-Kazooie thing, if he gets released, so here's where I'm kind of sitting right now, right? Hero and Joker, we got the announcements of these mini Sakurai Directs, mini Joker Directs, other stuff like that, like a day or two before they actually ended up happening. Now, I think it would be very possible they showed us a little bit of Banjo and they were like, Sakurai is going to be running a special Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Mini Direct where they're able to show off the character and stuff like that, because, you know, as much as I would love to see him today, part of me is telling me that there's going to be other modes to show off. And although you guys are right, I completely agree that we already have seen more of Banjo-Kazooie than we had of Hero or Joker up to this point. But I still feel like there's just a lot of unknown about Banjo-Kazooie. And I feel like they have a lot of stuff to announce, but if they don't, then it would definitely make sense if they just, you know, decided to talk about him today. I don't know. I think with another Smash... trying to find the words, but I think that with another Smash Ultimate character reveal today, that might be a little bit too much Smash.
I don't think we're gonna.
How do you feel? How do you guys feel?
I don't think we're gonna get it. I think that, of course, everybody's been talking about SNK and about Terry and maybe Mike coming to Super Smash Brothers.
Yep.
I think that there's a lot of possibility for that to happen, and actually, it may be the biggest like leak that Nintendo's ever done themselves. That this direct will be the right about it, because if I just look at what Nintendo has on their plate right now, Kazooie thing and Smash Brothers is a gold mine, and you can ride that wave for a pretty long time. And if you undercut that, and they sort of did during E3, right? It's like Banjo and Kazooie's coming. Oh, here's Breath of the Wild 2, right? If they just ended on Banjo Kazooie, it would have gotten like an even huger response. I feel ending with Breath of the Wild 2 was the only thing they could do. So I feel like they probably won't do a thing where it's like Banjo's coming. Also, here's a teaser for another character. They did that pretty well during the Hero and Banjo reveals during E3, where it's like two characters, and then of course no one was talking about Hero, talking about Banjo, but of course different parts of the world, different preferences and all.
Right.
But then I think that you have enough marketing hands to basically ride that Banjo wave all the way. And I kind of want them to, right? I think that the characters deserve that special spotlight and attention, especially if this is the direct announce their move set completely and when we're going to get the characters. And also, I really believe that they're going to have some sort of big shake-up in terms of their move set. I don't think that we've seen everything from the characters. I think that there's going to be some crazy thing that they're going to pull, like, oh yeah, when Banjo-Kazooie enter the fight, there's going to be like collectibles on the stage, and you have to collect all the things, and then you can use them as ammo or something like that. There's going to be something that'll shake things up quite a bit for that character. I want to know what the next character is just as much as you two do, but I think that this direct is not the platform to do it on.
So, with the idea that, like you said, Banjo's moveset might be more interesting than we realize right now, yeah, I could see. I'm torn about whether or not we're going to see Banjo today, and then get him released soon, or if they're going to maybe just say Sakurai is going to do something later this month or something. I'm totally torn. I don't know which one I think it's going to be. But I do think Banjo probably will have a more interesting moveset than maybe we're anticipating. Like you mentioned, blog content, something where like they're collecting items. We saw the golden feathers, so maybe you have to collect those or something to use that move, which would obviously fit Banjo being a collectathon. And you talked about the SNK rep leak thing that started and stuff like that. And I know seems most people are thinking it's Terry. I've heard Japan thinks it's Nakaruru, but I think people are like pretty up in the air between those two characters. From what I've heard, it seems like it's probably going to be Terry. And some people are saying, oh, that might be a kind of boring character. But with it in mind that all these DLC characters have had interesting movesets, and I do think Banjo's going to have a pretty interesting moveset, I came up with this idea that maybe because SNK is like a tag team, like they've invented the tag team fighting thing, maybe the reason there's a little bit of a conflicting thing between which character it's going to be, maybe we're going to get a character that has like tag team fighting mechanic where you can like switch between characters like Pokemon Trader or something like that to represent multiple SNK characters. I think that would be really cool and probably
awesome.
And it would totally be different than what people are thinking like, oh, it's just Terry, like he's just going to have a pretty simple fighting game moveset. It's like, no, what if he had, a tag team moveset? That would be super unique. So just throwing my thoughts out there.
You mean like if you could switch between
characters? It'd probably be three.
Yeah, I think tag team games are usually three, but I'm just thinking maybe like the character is Terry, like that's the base character, and either some of his moves do that thing where like the character jumps in and like hits somebody, or you literally switch between them or something like that. I think that would make him very interesting and again represent a style of fighting game that we don't have yet, because just getting a Fatal Fury King of Fighter Terry moveset is, I will admit, it's a little boring. I don't dislike it, but it's not as interesting as Joker with Arsene or Hero with the menu, or even Banjo-Kazooie with what we've seen, or if they have something more.
I guess one of the other things I want
Yeah, go ahead.
Things I wanted to ask you, Papa, was so the Starling League. It was the picture of I believe it was a crow on top of a roof. Now I remember making a video on it a while ago, but wasn't that something that originated from some sort of credible leaker in terms of the fourth DLC character, or how did that come about? Because I remember
So
it was really popular for a very long time.
yeah, so that was over on. Do you guys know Sabi? Sabi is like a
Yeah.
pretty known leaker. So I talk to Sabi pretty often. Sabi was the person who told me that the SNK rep is Terry, though I know Sabi doesn't necessarily know more than like the name. Like it's not like we've seen images or anything. Like it's just that's the name that's floating
Right.
around. Which is why I'm still kind of thinking maybe it's a tag team fighter or something if there's other names floating around too. So the bird image, it was like a bird on a roof. It came from Sabi's Discord, so not from Sabi, but Sabi's Discord,
Okay.
and it was someone who has in the past. I think they posted a crab right before the direct where we got Link's Awakening, and they posted a picture of a bear and a bird right before we got Banjo-Kazooie. So we don't know if the bird on the roof is for Smash or not because they did the crab for Link's Awakening, and they're
Right.
obviously being really
Right.
cryptic with it. Um, so the bird could be like maybe the one of the legendary Pokemon in Sword and Shield is a bird or something. Like we really don't know what it's for. But Nakaruru obviously has a bird, so that could fit. Um,
That makes sense. That makes a
yeah,
lot of sense.
yeah. So that image is really cryptic, and it
Exactly.
could be for anything. So yeah,
For a little bit nothing, right? Because it of course doesn't directly come from a big leaker. It just was posted, right, and a little bit corroborated as well. But it's really fun to expect these hint pictures could mean, because that's always a thing. Like it could go totally the other way. Would it mean a bird kind of character? Would it mean
Right.
Geno? You know,
right. Yeah, because
would it
Starling has star in it. There's a lot
Right.
of ways to interpret it.
exactly? There's so many things that you can
Maybe
read from it. So I do
Super
like
Mario RPG 2?
oh,
right. Yeah.
you were
Could it
talking
be like
about
Paper Mario RPG or something?
you were talking about Thousand Year Door getting ported, but man, I like the Paper Mario games. Don't get me wrong here, but my first Mario RPG game was Mario RPG, and I fell in love with it. And so I like the Paper Mario games, and I like the Mario and Luigi Superstar, games, stuff like that. But I've always wanted Mario RPG to obviously be redone or get a sequel to or something like that. So yeah.
Mhm. No, that'd be cool. That'd be pretty fun if we got a Super Mario RPG 2. I mean, it seems like Square and Nintendo at this point are on pretty good terms. We're getting the new Dragon Quest 11 game on
Yep.
Switch. We just got Hero. We have Cloud. I mean, it's possible. I'd love to see it because I think that Super Mario RPG is a very underrated game. The first time I played it was on the Wii Virtual Console, and I fell in love with it. Cool characters, Geno and Mallow are absolutely awesome. Having
Yep.
Peach and Bowser on your team, super awesome. Um, yeah, I absolutely loved it. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to see some, or at least port it over. Like Nintendo has the ROMs, we have the GameCube adapter, so it's not like it's hard. Like you know what I mean? If it requires a GameCube controller,
Yeah, I mean,
Mario
just
Kart or Smash, it would work.
yeah, I mean, like I was saying, the Super NES games coming to Switch, if that's something to do. Yeah, give us Mario RPG. At least put these games on the system or something.
Yeah,
I don't want to get too off topic with Smash because I feel like there's more to talk about here. So
right. You're right.
there was a no, it's cool. I brought up Mario RPG because it's what I do. So so
You should call your channel something to do with Mario RPG, maybe.
that would be a good idea. Perhaps
Be a
I'll do
really good
that.
idea.
Perhaps I'll rebrand to something more Mario RPG. Um, so in terms of
Oh, so by the
Terry,
way,
oh go ahead.
I think that Mario RPG remake would be really cool, but I also think that in terms of rights, I don't think it's possible anymore. I don't think that they fully own that game in that aspect. Of course, the relationship with them has been really good, but I don't think that they want to revisit something like that. I think that we might get a new kind of RPG thing, just like we did Mario and Rabbids, hit. Um,
Mhm.
and we might get a revival of the Geno character and maybe Mallow as well. and some of the other stuff like the axe. I don't think that it'll be a remake or something like that. But you're right. They own the ROM, as you said. They own the original game. But I think that if you're going to want to do a remaster or something of that, they would rather rebuild a new Mario RPG kind of idea, I think. And if we think about remastering that kind of stuff, remaster Thousand Year Door is what a lot of people are saying in the
Yeah.
chat. Like that's something that people really want to see, and it would be easy to do, right? I think that you can just HD update stuff, or you could do the color splash style with Thousand Year Door, which would not be my preference because I don't really like the realistic paper background thing that much. But yeah, there's a lot of things to do with that also. So yeah, I just really want to say possible for the RPG characters to go forward, but not with any remaster or retread of that story.
I agree with that. I think it would be way less likely that we either get a remastered Mario RPG or a sequel. I think that would involve Nintendo and Square collaborating on a game. It's just tougher everything wise. However, I could see with the Geno Mii costume with Geno and Mallow in Smash. There's been a few other minor things. They mentioned Mega Smilax, which is a boss from Mario RPG in Piranha Plant's Palutena's Guidance. So there have been some references here to Mario RPG that Nintendo usually shies away from. It's possible Nintendo has bought maybe the character rights from Mario RPG, so potentially Geno and Smash is obviously a possibility, but he's kind of already in there as a spirit. I won't open up that whole can of worms though. But it's also possible maybe Geno and Mel will show up in like Mario Kart, maybe a Double Dash sequel or something, or Nintendo will just use them in a sports game. Something like that I think is more likely that Nintendo would maybe buy from Square rather than really try to collaborate with Square again on that.
Yeah, like a big collaboration. I totally agree. And in terms of a Smash character, right? I think that Geno would make a lot of sense as like a bonus character or still a third party addition to this. It's just a character that's on the same level as the Ridleys and the King K. Rules and even Banjo in terms of fan demand.
Right.
Also, I got a message from Ethan Michael Crane saying basically about DLC characters. I love you guys. Just wanted to see how long you think it will take South Australia to ban today's DLC character. That would answer in the first minute. So, yeah, whatever character Ethan thinks we're going to get today, what are your thoughts like on banned characters and stuff like that? What's happening with Hero? And of course, if we think about Geno, he has an attack. Correct me if I'm wrong. That does like 999 damage.
Yes, it does.
So that could be broken.
Yes, I would love. So, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to, really quick, I just want to say that Sakurai has also said before that he wanted to develop a moveset for Geno.
Yeah.
Because I remember an interview where he said it'd be super cool, like, if Geno, like, I'd love to work with Geno. He's super cool because he has a gun for an arm, and I was like, that would be really cool. And I mean, we don't have the Geno Mii costume along with the Square stuff, and in Smash for Wii U and 3DS, the Geno Mii costume was the only Mii costume in the entire game that ended up getting a splash screen.
Yep.
And now that we don't have him in Smash Ultimate, even as a Mii costume, really suspicious. Like, maybe they didn't get the rights, which honestly might be a little bit more, that might be a little bit more, like, plausible, but I just think it's very, very weird that we got the Hero and all these other Mii costumes, and the Hero with like a bunch more songs than Cloud, but no Mii costume for Geno. Especially Sakurai and Nintendo know that we, the fans, want Geno just like we wanted King K. Rool, just like we wanted Ridley. Like, I think something fishy's going on there.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely Geno's in a weird spot. I won't get too into Geno because I could talk all day about him. But there was some copyrighted songs. It was 2 tracks from Mario RPG on YouTube. Like I said, Geno and Mello I think are the only spirits from Square besides Cloud in the base game for Smash. We don't have the Geno Mii costume, like you said, Chris. They had a splash art for that. There's some odd things going on. I could totally see Geno being an extra character, maybe like Piranha Plant. For the DLC.
Absolutely.
Sorry, that's yeah, no, that's that's on my end. So, just to move forward away from Geno. Of course, the phone's ringing.
Since we're moving away from Geno and that Vergaban, Alright, I wanted to talk with you two because at this point, I think that the three of us are probably the people who talk about leaks on YouTube the most in terms of Smash and stuff like that. Now, in terms of Vergaben, every time I talk about
those videos,
every time there are people who are always like, Vergaben is no credibility anymore, like he's gotten stuff wrong, and there's other people who still hail Vergaben as like the god, the most credible leaker of all time. Now, Vergaben actually the other day posted that GIF of Terry. Did you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Posted that, and then we had Sabi come forward and say, "I agree with Vergaben. Like this is what I'm hearing as well." So I'm just kind of wondering, like, in terms of the next Smash Ultimate character, at this point, I agree with you 100%, Papa, that we are like Terry is basically it. What are your thoughts on Vergaben, and does the Terry GIF mean anything?
So yeah, I can definitely shed some light on that. Just real quick because I know block content. You asked about the banning of Hero and just my thoughts on that, and I totally kind of looked over that. Yeah, I don't think characters should be banned as quickly as that happened, but it was only in like Southern Australia or something. So I think character.
Hero's not even that. I don't think Hero's even as overpowered as people think.
I completely agree. I think he has a randomness to him, but I don't think he's super overpowered. So I feel like
we saw the same thing with Bayonetta and Cloud back in Smash 4. Like, and then they were like, well, Bayonetta was the definitive best, but I mean, like, I don't know. I don't like the whole ban culture.
Yeah, Bayonetta was way more bannable too. So
exactly. No, to be fair,
like Bayonetta in Smash 4.
Like, I'm gonna totally say something that's gonna be controversial, I guess. But to be fair, it's been banned in events that are not made by Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
those are like legit, the most legit thing ever. But of course, what does it really mean if some fan community of a game created by a company thinks that something should happen about a certain character? Like, in the scheme of things, Nintendo did not decide that. Other people that are fans of the thing decided that. So to me, it does not really matter all that much. But that's basically me saying tournaments don't matter, and I don't want that to be what you pull away from it. Still, like thinking about the fact that fans of a thing get to decide. Like it's the same thing. Like taking it back to what PapaGenos said about movies, right? I think that it's weird to say like, oh, made by the director and then fans want it a certain way, they make fan edits of the film. Like I feel like if you take the rules into your own hands based on your own ideas of what it should be, like Sakurai is pretty open about it being this party game, and of course having a lot of very competitive elements to it, and you can play with the items off, and you can play, but banning characters because of your rule set and because of what your community says. And I know this is controversial. People are gonna like jump all over me for this one, but yeah, I feel like if they decided that, it isn't really a ban. It's just like saying when you guys come over to my house, I'm like, you can't play as Luigi because I don't like that character because he beats me up a lot, right? And it doesn't matter in like Nintendo in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, it's here's my biggest thing with banning Hero. To be honest, is it hasn't been long enough. This game is still getting updates, and Hero isn't even like the number one character. He's just kind of random. So if Bayonetta was actually a problem in Smash 4, and Smash 4 stopped getting updates. So I could see the tournament scene considering that, but I haven't seen Hero wiping the floor at tournaments yet. I haven't seen really big issues with Hero, except that every once in a while people are winning a match because of RNG. Yeah, I don't think Hero is that problematic, and I definitely don't think you should ban stuff that early on. Even if a character came out and it is like Bayonetta in Smash 4, as long as the game is still getting updated, like you're implying, let Nintendo handle it first before the fan community has to step in and do something. So if Nintendo sees Hero is just too good, maybe they'd lower him, but I don't think that's the case where we're at. So Chris, you're oh, sorry, did you want to say something?
Oh, go ahead. I just want to say, Hocus Pocus is a bad move. Every time I've used it, I've always shrunk or gotten like the flower or something.
Yeah, I usually get hurt by Hocus Pocus too. So Chris, you were asking about Vergaben and the Terry GIF. I can shine a little bit of light on that. So when the SNK leak first happened, the SNK like copyright leak first happened, about an hour or two after that was like found or like at least spreading throughout the community. I don't know how long it was actually up on there. Sabi messaged me and said Terry was what insiders had heard. I don't know if that was coming from Vergiben or who exactly, but I heard that almost immediately Terry. But I am aware that Sabi, I don't think, like I said, I think a little bit earlier, they haven't seen like an image, they haven't seen gameplay. I don't think we know anything about Terry. It's pretty much just the name that's going around. So I don't know if Vergiben heard the name or if Vergiben has seen more. I don't know Vergiben's sources. I don't know exactly who they've heard stuff from. I do think Vergiben is pretty careful before they leak anything. They have gotten, like you said, a couple things wrong, but overall they've been pretty good about, especially when they go in on a Smash character. So like they said Minecraft content, which we still haven't gotten, but they've never said Steve. They were very careful to not ever go all in on that. So to have them post the Terry image does make me think Vergiben's all in on Terry, but I think there's still enough wiggle room, like I mentioned before, like a 3-in-1 tag team style fighter I think could still happen even if the character is Terry. Like I said, there's kind of conflicting things between Terry, Nakaruru, Mai, stuff like that. Maybe it's a tag team character or something slightly off about Terry that we don't quite know. So I think Vergiben is still definitely worth trusting, definitely worth listening to. I've never been someone to throw them out just because I think like one of the things they said was like it wasn't going to be Link's Awakening, but then we got was it Cadus of Hyrule like further down the line, so maybe they did know about a Zelda game, it wasn't there, or maybe Vergiben had even heard Breath of the Wild 2 was in development. I don't know where their sources are, so we got multiple Zelda games since then, so maybe their source was saying, oh yeah, I know about a Zelda game, but it's not Link's Awakening, and so Vergiben said that, and then lo and behold, there was a Link's Awakening coming. So yeah, I just I kind of know how leaks happen. I kind of have talked to enough people that have had leaks or talked to insiders and stuff like that, and sometimes it can be messy. It can be just as messy as a game of telephone. So I still think Vergiben is worth listening to. As far as if it's definitely Terry, I think it probably is Terry, like 90-something% sure, but there could be something else going on here, like a tag team fighter or something really interesting.
Yeah,
so
a tag team mechanic would be really incredible. It would totally get me on board. Like, yeah, a lot of people got me a bit flack for saying that I don't really like the roster of the SNK company characters. And, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. A lot of people don't like Hero. A lot of people wished Banjo wasn't in the game, but another character was. But having the idea of that tag team, 3 characters that could jump in at any moment and use an attack, that would totally, completely win me over, because that mechanic in a lot of games, like including like Dragon Ball Fighters, that is so interesting and very satisfying too. So I wanted to steer the conversation a little bit. It was still keeping it Smash though, but which characters do you guys think will be the final 2? Like, what are your thoughts at this moment right now? Let's start with Chris. Who do you think are the most likely final 2 characters?
Well, at this point, I don't really like saying final 2 because, I mean, final 2 is in this fighter pass, absolutely makes sense, but getting another one. Like, everyone's like, there's no way we're getting another fighter's pass, but those same people...
I don't know.
It prints money. It prints money for Nintendo if they want to do it.
Thank you, Papa. Because, like, think about it like this. If people buy 2 fighters passes for $25 a piece, another copy of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Even
like,
this. Real quick, just this idea.
Oh, go, please.
I feel like a Smash character like wins Nintendo E3. Like just even if it's not like a full fighters pass, or they do a smaller fighters pass, or just there'll be extra DLC characters when we feel like it. Just next E3, if they can just go like, oh yeah, by the way, Sora's coming to Smash. It's like Nintendo won E3. Oh my god, and it's
That's
like
exactly
why? Yeah, it's like why give that up to just do the fighters pass? Like just and just it could even just be one character a year announced at E3 for the next like 2 or 3 years. Like just do it. Just do it, Nintendo.
So true. Well, literally, but also we have to consider that like there was 7 DLC characters in Smash for Wii U and 3DS, and right now, if we just get Piranha Plant and the Fighters Pass, we would have one less character than Smash for Wii U and 3DS. Like, This is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, okay? Nintendo is loving selling these fighter passes for $25 a piece, and then, like, it's literally printing the money, like you said. And yes, I understand Sakurai needs a break and everything, but it's literally printing them money.
You could
I think I'm on the other side of the spectrum on this one.
Go for it.
Because if my inner fan of Smash Brothers could come out right now, it would totally agree with you guys. Be like, yeah, dude, Fighters Pass 2, and of course it makes sense, and it makes Nintendo a lot of money. But I think in terms of development cycle, I think right now it's about time to let this, fizzle out a little bit in the best way possible with this DLC and start a project plan for something new. That is literally what happens around this time. So to think about this game in terms of a platform for Nintendo, this is the Ultimate Smash Brothers, so we're going to keep this for a while. I don't know if Smash Brothers game, even though the name pretty much implies it, I feel like they want to work towards that with maybe a new platform or maybe the next game of the series. But there is something inside me that says, let's not get our hopes up. I think that one Fighter's Pass is already super amazing and is like a dream come true in a lot of aspects. And also, Sakurai is a human being. The people working in the offices are human beings. And as of now, they have had no break since the development of Smash Brothers Ultimate. Like, the people that are making models for the game, the people that are animating, the people that are balancing and coding, they've basically had no break, right? It's been constant updates, it's been constant development, and you guys know how long these games are in development, even from the product planning phase. So to me, like, realistically, from a marketing standpoint, or even from a standpoint, I feel like and me has to be told, shh, I think this might be all we're getting, and it's pretty great what we're getting,
Yeah.
Counterpoint to that. Papa, do you want to go first? Because I kind of have a little tangent.
Sure, yeah. So, as far as I basically agree with you, I have extremely mixed feelings. Part of the fanboy in me wants just endless characters for Smash, and there's definitely I can see logical reasons for that to happen. Nintendo would just make money. Like, Smash is just huge. Smash Ultimate came out right at the start of the Switch's life cycle, or very early on. I feel like games nowadays, especially games that do get played in tournaments, stuff like that, tend to get supported for longer than they used to. So I could see Nintendo wanting to do that. And I do think, like I said, like a single Smash character can win E3 for Nintendo. So to just do, like, maybe not even a full Fighter's Pass, or maybe a Echoes Fighter Pass, or maybe more characters like Piranha Plant, individual characters, and do it real slow, like, so Sakurai can have a break, the team can work on, like, even a single character a year or something like that. It's possible. It's possible. However, I also know reality of these things, and I remember when Smash Ultimate first got announced, not last E3, but the E3 before that, and we got like Ridley and Inkling and Daisy. But I remember thinking for Smash 4, when it was like doing the ballot and stuff like that, I was like, man, I really just want them to have I want like Ice Climbers and Wolfpack, and then like Ridley, and then the game would just be perfect. And by the E3 for Smash Ultimate, we had that. We had everyone back. We had a fan favorite character like Ridley that felt more like a ballot winner to me than Bayonetta, and I was just like, okay, this game is perfect. So I was absolutely satisfied with Smash Ultimate right from the get go. So yeah, I mean, we're getting greedy at this point, asking for more and more and more. But it's just crazy. Smash also always surprises me. I mean, when Smash 4 was like done, I never would have thought we would have gotten the ballot. Like, I would have thought, okay, we're getting DLC and that'll be it. And then they announced the ballot. So I could see this game's quote unquote ballot being Fighter Pass number 2. It could just be an announcement that no one expects. So I'm totally fine. If this is just the Fighter's Pass, this is all we get, I'm totally fine with that. As far as if we get a big surprise, though, I wouldn't be that surprised anymore, because Smash always blows me away.
Well, I guess here's kind of where I
agree with all your thoughts.
Yeah. From Smash 4, we know that Sakurai stated before that basically the day after Bayonetta was released, he started project planning for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Yep.
Now, they did not have a very long development window, but they were able to put all of these characters in the game, and yes, it was definitely difficult. I'm never, ever going to say that, like, it was easy for them to do this. And the fact that they did this is absolutely amazing. All of these characters, awesome. But now, instead of running around like chickens with their heads cut off, like trying to develop each character one at a time, now they're literally just focusing on one character at a time. Like, I know there's tons of rumors going around, and who knows what's true, but like they say that like some characters haven't even like the fifth DLC character hasn't started development because they're still working on Banjo-Kazooie. So they're doing a slow little process. Another thing I'd like to talk about is actually the stage select. Now, if you take a look at the stage select screen, if each of the 5 DLC characters come with one stage, that means that in the very bottom right corner, we are going to have just an empty black space. Now, in other Smash games, what have we gotten? We've gotten the ability to switch to different stages, like the DLC stages in Smash 3 and 3DS. In Brawl, we were able to switch to the past stages and stuff like that. And just having that little black space in the bottom corner is going to bother me. Now, I know that is a little conspiracy theorist, but I mean, like, when you take a look at it like that, I mean, like, maybe it'll be a new Switch themed stage or something like that. But I do think there is definitely potential. Now, going back to the money side of things, like, yeah, I mean, if people buy 2 fighters... Oh, sorry. A point I wanted to make before that was the Switch itself. Now, Nintendo has stated before that they want to support the Switch for 7 or 10 years. I don't remember the exact number, but it's a really long time. I mean, especially compared to, like, the Wii U, that's a really long time that they want to keep supporting the Switch. And Smash is, like, one of their most popular and most profitable franchises. So continuing to support this game is going to do nothing but continue to make them money. Also, in terms of Sakurai like starting to develop a new Smash game or something like that, I don't think that's really in the plans quite yet, because have we ever seen 2 Smash Brothers games on the same console? So if they're supporting the Switch for another, let's say, 5 years, that means we're not going to get another Smash game for 5 years and no new content for 5 years. Like, that just seems like a super long drought without any Smash at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that it's either one of two things. Either they continue to give us characters possibly more slowly, or a second Fighter's Pass or whatever it is, or it ends. And I don't think we're gonna get another Smash on the Switch. So it will probably be, like you said, 5 years until another Smash. That does happen sometimes. I think in between Brawl and Smash 4 it was a while.
Right?
Yeah, Melee to Brawl I think was like 8 years or something like that. And honestly, we have such a huge roster and everything. I could see them just wanting to support this game for a long time. Maybe not even character updates, but just balancing patches and stuff like that. So yeah, I agree with that. On your point about the stage select screen, so when you go to make a new rule set, if you do, I think it's like something with like random stage select or something, that extra block, the extra like black square gets filled up with a little icon that lets you choose your custom stages, your builder stages.
No.
So, but however,
Yeah.
it's only when you're doing the rule selection. And I do agree, it looks a little weird that every time I go to select a stage, there'd be that little black bar down there, like just so that when I'm doing the rules, it has that. So I do think it's still potentially possible that there is like a next screen of more stages or something, a button for that would fill up that spot. And then when you go to select custom stages, maybe it just looks a little different. I don't know. But I do know that there's something that could potentially fill that up.
Right.
I kind of agree. I feel like in terms of these characters that we're getting and how much more content, it would be very profitable to keep sending out these characters, right? In terms of a new Switch, I think we're going to get a new console faster than people think. I think that this phase is enjoyable and really great creatively, but I also think that it's opened up a lot of doors. And as I mentioned earlier in this discussion, the idea of VR, and of course now the additions to the Nintendo Switch hardware, and also the Switch Lite, I think that Nintendo is really like trying to find out the best possible way of creating hardware. So I actually think that there's no way that we're going to stick with Switch for 7 years. I don't think that will happen at all. I actually think, and I think Miyamoto has come out and said this, they're already working on the controller for a new console or something like that. I love the Switch, and I would love, for it to be supported for a very long time. But I think that the successor to Switch is coming fast. I think that they want to, sell a new console, and some people are basically not getting the so people are not getting the updated Switch model, and that's also just kind of the way companies work, right? You got to get the new iPhone thing. So I do believe that an idea for a new Smash game, and I think a new console, is already somewhere. And of course, it's not coming in a year, and it's not coming in 2 years. But if you want to get that show on the road, you're going to have to talk about it right now, right? It's going to be something that's already got to be in the plans. And I'm of a very firm belief that the next time we're going to be playing a Smash Brothers game, it's either not going to be a 2.5D fighting game, it's going to be completely drastically different, or it's at least going to run on, a different set of, a different engine, definitely all new animations, so not made on these Smash 4 animations and stuff like that. I think that there's big changes coming because, like everyone else, Sakurai is that developer that totally reinvents every time, and Smash Ultimate is kind of not his MO, right? He really loves changing things up. When he did Kid Icarus Uprising, he added so many modes and crazy stuff to that game that he shouldn't have to. And Smash Ultimate is like everything that he said he would never do. He said like, yeah, I don't want to just make another Smash game when it's just adding characters and just adding stages. It should never be that thing. So he's like that auteur kind of guy, like Kojima is in some senses. So I'm on the other side of that fence. I think that definitely a new Smash game is already in the works, and I think a smaller team gets to work on these characters, and it's of course still Sakurai, but the rest of it is in like planning stages, and of course all the financing stuff is already being thought about right now. How they can basically encapsulate what the new console is, if it has some sort of new gimmick, if it be VR or some other motion sensor stuff, or same with Switch that you can take it anywhere, but maybe even online connected. But again, that's the part of me traditional sense of cycles, and maybe you guys are totally right, or at least Chris, maybe you're right in the sense that it's like the landscape because it basically makes these little tiny platforms. It makes a platform for Zelda. It makes a platform for Mario. It makes a platform for Smash, for Mario Kart. And I would love for it to be that case. But also, we're getting Breath of the Wild 2, right? We're getting a sequel to that game that could have easily been, a big update to this huge game. And I think they're working towards the future as they always do. And as you said, they are basically already working on the new Smash game when the one comes out, and this one's been out for a long time now. So
Right.
yeah, again, I would love to see more of this game, and we're going to because we're going to get 2 more characters, and I think a lot of game modes as well, which we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah,
But I
definitely.
do also believe that the future is coming, and the future isn't Smash Ultimate. The future is something new.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree.
And guys, I love this conversation, and I definitely think we should do another live stream specifically for this. But we should probably focus on the direct.
Yeah, all right.
Like, sorry, sorry, but like, if you guys like this, we'll definitely do this again because I'm having the time of my life right now. I love this.
Pretty fun, right? Yeah.
So can I
Yes.
let me just say one thing real quick back to
Go
that
for
point.
it. Go for it.
I'll try to transition us back to stuff that we might see in the direct. So I agree that Nintendo's like hardware is they'll probably get something new. I don't know if they're going to drop the Switch title though, because the Switch has been really good. They kind of tried to do that with the Wii and the Wii U. They kept the Wii name. So I could see whatever the next console is being technically still the Switch, but it's like it's a new console. It has its own. Maybe it plays Switch games, but it also plays whatever the next Switch games are as well. Like kind of like the 3DS and the 2DS. Like some could only be played on 3DS. So I could see something like that happening for the future. And I definitely think whatever the next Smash game is will probably, like you said, be a drastically different game. I think because Smash 4 was on the Wii U and because Nintendo was moving to the Switch, Sakurai did, like you said, not his usual thing and gave us basically Smash 4 again with tons of updates and stuff. I'm not saying Smash Ultimate is Smash 4 again, but it's very similar and it's not a totally different experience. And I think the next one probably will be very, very different. Not just more characters; it'll probably be a total revamp. So speaking of Smash, you were asking what I think the next 2 characters would be, and I don't think we ever
Right, we didn't discuss
we,
that.
we didn't really get to it. So I if I had to put my money on who I think is going to be shown off in this direct, I'm thinking Terry, maybe Tag Team Fighter or something like that. But I have to go with who the credible leakers are saying Terry. They've been right so far, so I think it's probably going to be Terry. There was a random like 4chan leak that had
Ryu Hayabusa.
Yep, it had Terry and it had Ryu Hayabusa on it. And the way it described Terry's trailer was that it would be kind of like Banjo's trailer was a sequel to K. Rool's trailer. It will be a sequel to the Ken and Incineroar trailer with Terry. So if we get that today, if we get Terry and it's a sequel to the Ken and Incineroar trailer, it is very likely that Ryu Hayabusa is going to be the final character, and their trailer will probably be a sequel to the Castlevania trailer. It's a random 4chan leak, and Terry being in a sequel trailer with Ken is also it makes sense. It's fairly guessable, so I don't know for absolutely sure if that that will pin down that the last character is Ryu Hayabusa. But if that's how things go, then that's who I'm thinking it probably will be. That will be the front runner anyway.
Absolutely. I don't even think I can argue with that. Especially if we do end up seeing a trailer similar to the build off of Incineroar. But didn't Incineroar end up beating Ken in the trailer?
Yes. So
that's what's standing. So I kind of wonder how, like, would Terry come out and fight Incineroar, and then Ken would come back, or I don't know. I kind of that's kind of confusing. But in terms of Terry, we also just got a tweet from Sabi who mentioned you, PapaGenos, that I'd like to tell everybody really quick because he decided to go ahead and make some stuff clear. But Sabi says, I want to make some clarifications today. First of all, about the Direct itself. Me and PapaGenos were hoping VR Plant would be able to share again this time, but some stuff came up. Since you shared that Indie World info just a couple weeks ago, I can't complain. He'll be back. Secondly, about Terry. As I've said in some replies, since this didn't come from VR Plant, it's not guaranteed. Not as guaranteed, I'm sorry. The reason I was confident enough to back Bergaben and even mention a name going around, though, is because it came from some pretty important places. To elaborate, that doesn't rule out the possibility of a tag team. As you can imagine, going by word of mouth, like what Bergaben does, can result in some details not being mentioned. All that's mostly gone around is that Terry is in, but I wouldn't be shocked if a tag team feature is in. So Sabi ended up coming back and giving us some information. So honestly, now I'm kind of getting my hopes up for a tag team version of Terry, just because that sounds absolutely amazing. But yeah, in terms of the fifth DLC fighter, I'm leaning towards Ryu Hayabusa at this point. Honestly, I'm kind of hoping for Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, Crash would be so good.
I think it's like super long overdue for Crash or Rayman to make it into the game. But I understand that Ryu is like, he's had Nintendo presences before, and I guess Nintendo really likes him. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I think Crash Bandicoot would be a very, very good final character reveal.
Crash would be awesome. I'm totally on board with Crash. I just want to comment real quick on the Sabi thing because that's the first time I had heard that tweet or that message. But yeah, I was talking.
Sabi just posted it.
Yeah, no, it's totally cool. So I was talking to Sabi last night. We were hoping VR Plant would come out with anything. I do know where the Terry information is coming from, but that's Sabi's thing. Obviously, I'm not going to give anything like that away. But yeah, it's not as positive. It's not as I would say definite as when we get stuff from VR Plant where VR Plant hasn't gotten anything wrong, so like I pretty much just I take that as confirmation. But no, VR Plant I haven't gotten anything from, so I'm not 100% on Terry either. And like I've been talking about the tag team thing as a possibility, I've been talking to Sabi about that as a possibility. So we're not positive, we just have heard Terry. So yeah, I can totally agree with that.
Thing at this point.
Yes, exactly. It's not 100%. It's that if VR Plant was telling me a character, I would say that's definitely it. They haven't, so it's up in the air.
Oh, man, that's so exciting. Thinking about the fact that we might be getting a character that's 3 characters in one. That to me would make all the difference with that character, right? And also,
Pokemon Trainer is awesome.
Yes, and real quick, I just want to say. That the tag team thing is completely speculation. So Sabi mentioning it is. It's not like we have any inside info or something about that. It is just something we are speculating as a possibility because a lot of people said Terry was kind of boring or something like that. SNK did invent the tag team system. It's totally out of thin air speculation. The only name that we've heard is Terry. So
make a cool amiibo, that's for sure.
Yeah, that would make a cool amiibo.
I think it would go a really fun way if it was not 3 characters with 3 movesets, but it was like your down B is this character coming in for a quick move and stuff like that, where it's a different mechanic than Ice Climbers, it's a different mechanic than Pokemon Trainer, and it's a unique way to add these characters. Like your up B is another character carrying you up and then
Yep.
disappearing again, or something like that. That to me is something. And some of you guys know that we actually did a Smash fan game in like 2008 or 7, which was a lot of fun to do. And we actually had a Pokemon Trainer character in that game. And I think the characters that he had were Feraligatr, Bayleaf, and Cyndaquil.
Oh, that's
think.
cool.
Yeah, but you were
cool.
playing as Pokemon Trainer, so you were running around, but every move was sending out a Pokemon and doing a quick attack. You know.
I would love that for like a tag team fighter. If it was just the attacks themselves are other characters, that would be cool.
Other characters, cool. You could eventually even do like all the characters that you want. You know. Like every move is like, even your jab would be, well, your jab would be your normal character, but maybe a smash attack would be someone else coming in. Or if it had 2 hits, like Link's forward smash, then the second hit would be another character taking over, you know?
It's so cool.
And then another character jumping in from the side of the screen, like Marvel vs. Capcom or something.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Good ideas here. Some good ideas.
I guess it's all really just dependent on what Sakurai decides to do.
Chris,
yeah, he goes with crazy concepts.
What will our final topic of this discussion be? I'm curious to hear what you have planned.
In terms of like Smash stuff, or just in terms of like general?
In terms of like the direct, like I think we're pretty much nearing like the final phase of the discussion.
Yeah, I mean we're 2 hours in, so.
It's 2 hours. Oh my god. I'd like to say that I would love to do more of these. I think that the three of us have really good chemistry, so if you guys are down, and if you guys, the fans, are enjoying this, maybe we could do some direct discussion another time. I think this is super fun. But in terms of what the final thing I want to see is, Pokemon, we've already talked about Luigi's Mansion, already talked about Smash. Honestly,
do you want to just do our?
I don't know.
Do you want to do our predictions? Do you guys want to just do our predictions? We could just go down like a list of predictions, end it on that.
Bingo cards, yeah.
Yeah. So who wants to start?
Let's do you first.
Okay. PapaGenos. Sure. Okay. So I don't know if all these things are gonna happen or what, but here's some things I'd like to see at this direct. Super NES games announced for Switch. It's been a year since I think Nintendo Online came out, so let's get that. Probably a little something on Switch Lite that's releasing soon. I assume they'll do something with that.
Definitely.
Maybe some Amiibo release dates. I think on Amazon the Incineroar, Chrom, and Simon ones kind of got the release date, or at least the Incineroar and Chrom one. I think the release date was like November 25th. It got shown. So I'm a fan of Amiibos, so I'd like to know that. Also, maybe the King of Cards. Shovel Knight amiibos. I don't know if we have the exact release date on those. I've had them pre-ordered for like 2 years. I know there was a leak about Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I think there was also a leak about Call of Duty Modern Warfare, so that would be cool. There was a leak about Overwatch. Yep, there was the Overwatch Switch case. So either that's in this direct or possibly, I think BlizzCon is like in a month, so maybe they'll save it for then. I'd love to see a Pikmin 3 port. I know that was something I think King Zell was saying like a while back. So anything Pikmin would make me happy. Pikmin 4 would probably be, obviously that'd be the biggest thing for me, but Pikmin 3 port would be something I'd like to see. King Zell also said something about a Metroid Prime trilogy port, but maybe that's because of Metroid Prime 4 getting pushed back, maybe they're pushing that back as well.
Wasn't that actually in Best Buy system alongside Persona 5?
It might have, yeah, maybe it was. It was Metroid something, I think, was in their system.
I think it was the trilogy alongside. I don't know, but it was in the system, but I have heard like nothing about it since.
Yeah, me either, really. I'd love to get Netflix on Switch. Actually, I've been waiting for that. So anytime they want to announce that. Yeah, Mario Maker 2 DLC. I'd love to get. I don't know if it's too soon or what, but if we get Mario 2 or Mario USA, mattering to where you are, I'd love to get a new theme. I think that would be great. Something on Banjo would be cool, even if it's just announcing we're gonna talk about Banjo. I'd like to see that. Rare Replay would be a great time to announce Rare Replay coming to Switch, if that's something that might be happening. Besides that stuff, I'm looking at I wrote down all my my bingo card basically. I'm just making sure I said everything. And then Terry probably getting announced for Smash. Though that's pretty much the stuff I'm expecting to see. Hopefully some surprises beyond that though.
Absolutely. I guess I'll go next. In terms of my predictions, I definitely feel like we're going to get some kind of announcement with the Nintendo Switch Online, whether it be SNES games or something along those lines. I just feel like, especially since once again subscriptions are going to be renewing in about what's today, the 4th? So I think it's like in a week or two where we're going to have to pay that money again.
Yep.
And I feel like they're going to try to announce something like play it up once again, because we got the real announcement of Nintendo Switch Online in last year's September Direct. So it would make sense if they at least mentioned it at the very least in this one, like told us some new stuff that was happening. I could definitely see that. In terms of other stuff, I'm hoping for some Amiibo news, just like you, Papa. I'm a very avid Amiibo collector.
Yeah, we've
so
talked Amiibos.
I'd really love to hear when the Incineroar and Chrom and Simon Amiibo are coming out, because I love picking them up. So that would also, once again, if we get no Banjo news, stick around the Amiibo theory, being that we would know about the release date of the character that is most likely going to be announced today.
Right.
Alongside that, Overwatch, I mean, the Blizzard Switch case was already listed on Amazon. At this point, I feel like everyone knows about it, so Nintendo's just going to kind of be like, oh yeah, Overwatch is coming to the Switch. Like, I hope you guys enjoy. Then, I don't know. I feel like there is one big surprise that is going to end in the Direct, and at this point, I don't know why, I'm leaning towards Odyssey 2.
Makes sense. You were talking about that earlier.
But I think that Odyssey 2 is going to end the Direct. They're just, we're going to get the Terry reveal trailer, and then, the guy's going to come up on stage. He's going to be like, oh, did you guys enjoy the Terry trailer? Well, we have one other surprise for you, and it's going to be like Mario laying on a beach or something next to Cappy. And by the way, if this is right, just know I'm a credible leaker. I have my sources. He's going to be like laying on a beach, and he's going to be hanging out with Cappy, and maybe it'd be like maybe he's laying on Delfino Island. I mean, who knows? You never know. I think that this Direct it's going to focus a lot on Luigi's Mansion and a lot on Pokemon Sword and Shield, because those are the two big games that are coming out like relatively soon. Definitely going to mention the Switch Lite at least a little bit, because that comes out in like 2 weeks. So they're going to want to push that, especially for the people who have kind of been waiting for the Switch. But yeah, other than that, I think that this is going to be a very, very good Direct. I don't know why. I'm getting a really good feeling, and I think that they're going to say, we're going to give you guys some Banjo-Kazooie information a little bit later. We're going to announce it later. Is my guess. That's my guess. But yeah, I think that this is going to be a great Direct.
For me, I share a lot of what you guys think. I also think that it's going to be quite an event, this Direct. I think that it's time for Nintendo to really show their muscles in terms of what we'll be getting at the end of this year, at the back end of this year.
Entering the holiday season.
Yep.
We really got to get some good stuff now, especially that, one thing that we're always talking about, that one surprise. So that's definitely a thing that I'm thinking happens. SNES Online, I think, is a shoe-in for this Direct as well. I think we are going to get a Mario Maker DLC update, but I think it's going to be bare bones. I think it's going to add a couple of new elements. I don't think it's going to add a new game style. I don't think it's going to add...
Maybe they'll add playing with friends finally. Because they announced they were going to.
Yeah. Yes, that would make a lot of sense, actually. Yeah, I assume that's going to come.
That would actually make the game for me. Like, I love playing it and making stages, but if they add that, then we have a co-op Mario game, a co-op online Mario game. So that would totally fix everything that I think is wrong right now with the game. But yeah, I think we're getting an update, and it's going to be bare bones. I think it's not going to add too much. I think we're going to get Luigi's Mansion info, where we find out a character is playable we didn't think was playable. So either a ghost character, or there's a mini game where you're playing as Mario in sort of a trapped state or something.
Oh, that'd be cool.
There's going to be some weird... That's an out there prediction, but I think some weird shake up there is going to happen. I think we're going to get a Pokemon Sword and Shield trailer, and it's going to be underwhelming. I think it's going to be something everyone knows about, and we're going to get Surfetched and a Long Cat Meowth and Fat Pikachu and all that kind of stuff. Everything that we know about is going to be in that trailer, and they're not going to address anything. like I don't even think it's gonna um, go to Game Freak offices. I think it's just gonna show a trailer. I think they really want to steer clear from talking about the controversy at all. That's
Right.
never really been Nintendo's MO. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get something about this Odyssey wink that we've heard about, and they might even show that picture. And just like you thought, Chris, I think that it'll be really cool if it was a tiny, tiny hint. So just Mario on a beach chilling out, and then basically Cappy coming alive or something like that. And I think that we're not going to get Smash newcomer information, even though it does feel likely. I really want it to be Banjo's moment of glory, because Banjo and Kazooie, to me, deserve the spotlight, and I think could make for a really great end of the direct where it's basically just like, here's what is coming to Smash. And my final prediction for this direct is basically, I think we're going to get Smash Brothers 5.0 stuff. So we're going to get to know what new game modes are coming, what new updates to the game are coming, because that is the platform to talk about stuff like that. If there's some sort of home run contest thing coming, or a new online mode, or something big to shake up Smash in terms of single player modes,
Mm.
I think that now is the time to talk about it, next to saying, hey, Banjo is here and you can play as him either right now or tomorrow. And that's pipe dream ish, but I also think that if I were, in charge of the marketing department, or, making those kinds of decisions, I'd say, whatever you do, if there's a big Nintendo Direct, a general Nintendo Direct, that's where you drop that kind of stuff, and not anywhere in between. You do it there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you think it's possible that maybe we get the like a character reveal at the beginning of the trailer and then the Banjo stuff at the
Ah,
end? That way it doesn't necessarily take the because they kind of did that with Hero and Banjo. They didn't take away from
right.
each other so much. If I think if you spread it out in that way, because I was picturing Smash all at once, but maybe if you start with a character reveal, do the whole direct, and then end with Banjo stuff, it doesn't necessarily take the glory away from Banjo. Just a thought.
That is a
Absolutely.
really great idea, man. I think that that would be a great way to open it up, because if you open with a Smash thing, then all eyes are going to be on that thing. I think
Right.
there was one direct where they opened with the what was the game called? Ex Machina or something?
Even Ex Machina.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think that that turned a lot of people off like immediately. I think that you have to go out guns blazing at the start of this direct, right? You really have to capture everybody, no pun intended. So either it be Odyssey or Smash Brothers, right? So that I think is likely. Do I think it's going to happen? My heart of hearts says there's no newcomer stuff in this direct, but it is time newcomer to be revealed. You know what I mean? Like in the
Absolutely.
sense that we knew about Hero and Banjo, and now we know about both of them, and we don't know anything about the final two. So in terms of like the timeline, we should now be getting to know who that next face is. The fourth face that we're going to be playing as. So I'm straight there in the middle. And maybe I'm just scared to make a call here, because it could easily go both ways, this one.
Yeah, I mean, we have to get everything out by February, so we need DLC announced, DLC 4 announced, DLC 4 released, DLC 5 announced, DLC 5 released, all in the span of
Right.
like the next like 4 or 5 months here. And we have known about Hero and Banjo for what, it's like 3 months now. So yeah, yeah, I feel like if they don't announce DLC 4 in this direct, then there's gonna have to be like a direct like next month or something too, or a Smash
Yeah,
Focus or
Absolutely.
something
it's
like they did.
not going to
It,
happen that it's going to be like the end of the year and we won't know who all the DLC characters are. We'll
right,
find out this year for sure. So,
right.
respect, I think it makes sense that we'll find out who the character is. But I really don't want to take anything away from how crazy it is that Nintendo and Microsoft are finally working together, bringing Banjo back to its home. So, yes, starting out with a new character reveal might be the way to solve all their problems. I think so.
Yeah, I mean it's a balancing act for sure because I totally agree with what you're saying about like you don't want to take the wind out of Banjo's sails like where everybody's just talking about the next character and oh by the way Banjo's out but no one's talking about that like you want to
Yeah,
focus on your hits. You have a lot of moments that they can hit with Smash. You might as well focus on each of them individually so they get the attention they deserve.
that's
Uh,
completely correct. Yeah.
I guess the only thing we can do now is wait and see what happens in the direct.
Yeah, just a few hours, so.
A few hours now. So
I know.
this
is a good way to kill time for sure.
I wanted to take this chance to basically just thank both of you. You guys are really, really great at making very fun, interesting content. There's a lot of fans of your channels in my chat, and I watch your videos. I think every time that I have some time to kill and I actually get to watch videos, like in the gym or when I'm doing a bike ride or something, I, get to see some of your content, and I really love it. So it's a really fun chance to be able to talk with the three of us together. And of course, there's been other like crossover things that people have mentioned in the comments. So I think that it's a really great idea to see if we can keep this going. But especially thanks to you, Chris, it was your idea to bring the three of us together. So that's a lot of fun. I think that our three voices have something different to say. We all have very specific fields that we're basically in. I think PapaGenos really focuses on a lot of details and a lot of reporting, which I totally love, because that's the thing that I really love from your channel. Is like,
Thank you.
there's no BS. It's just the content. And in terms of Chris's content, it's always super flashy and super hyperactive and super fun too, because it's just like me, as fan of the things. So you really get those pipe dream things going, and that's also there's something to be said for that too. And for my channel, it's basically flavor of the day. Sometimes you'll get animations, sometimes you'll get discussions about leaks. So I think that the three of us have all very different voices, even though we're in the same kind of niche in YouTube, and that makes it very special that the three of us got together for this thing. So from the bottom of my heart, and of course also thanks to Chris, thanks to PapaGenos for being in this discussion, and I'm super happy to be a part of it, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next in the world of Nintendo Directs and leaks.
Yeah, I totally agree with all that. I think we bring cool things to the table here together. I've really enjoyed doing this discussion. I'd love to do it again in the future. And yeah, I've watched you guys' channels before and stuff. Definitely learned a thing or two from you guys. And yeah, I've enjoyed talking here. Thank you, Chris, for bringing us together. I know we've kind of been meaning to do something, I think, for a while. Like, I think Caleb, I think you messaged me on Twitter a month or two ago. Chris, me and you were talking a little while back, so I'm happy we finally got this together, and I'd love to do this format again. It was fun.
I absolutely agree with everything. You two are definitely inspirations for me, being the baby channel at 20K subs. But like, I love watching you guys grow, and I love both your guys' videos. Papa, like Black Content said, I love sitting down, like when I'm lifting. I love hearing your voice. Give me the motivation to get that last lift in. And Black Content, dude, Callum, like I love your stuff. Your thumbnails are way better than mine in every way, especially. But yeah, I love, one of my favorite things about being a YouTuber is getting to meet other like-minded people. Like, this is not a conversation that I can have with everybody. Like, we just talked for over 2 hours, and I was not bored once. Everything that we said interests me, and, like, it was truly very, very special. And, guys, if you like the Speculation Squad, if you like me, PapaGenos, and Black's Content all working together, let us know in the comments, because, like Nintendo Direct stuff, like, this is what we do. We like talking about Smash and Nintendo Direct stuff, and like Callum said, we all have very different styles and I think different viewpoints on some things, and being able to talk like this, I think, is a great way for me. Like, I learned a lot. I didn't know about the thing Rare being bought out on the 24th, and I don't know. I'm just very excited to see where the future goes, and you guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on today. I had a fantastic time. And the next time, guys, we do something like this, make sure you guys are here. Subscribe to PapaGenos, subscribe to Black Content, and if you like me enough, subscribe to me as well. I'd really appreciate that, because I need to catch up eventually.
Idea to end this thing would be an amalgamation of the things that we always do at the end of our videos, but like they pass it around the table. So maybe, and I think so. Maybe I think that I'm right, because we're streaming on 3 channels at the same time, so everybody kind of needs to hear this. But I'm gonna do it for PapaGenos, and then you guys can fight over who you're gonna do. Okay? So here we go, guys. If you like PapaGenos content, you'll go to PapaGenos channel, and also you can follow Genos Papa on Twitter, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah. I had to do. Somebody took PapaGenos.
Right. So Genos
Oh,
Papa on
that's
Twitter, or the YouTube channel PapaGenos, and he talks about leaks, he talks about amiibo hunting, and he talks about a whole lot of stuff in the world of Nintendo and video games. So that's definitely the channel you want to check, and also his little, picture, his channel profile picture is awesome because he's wearing a Geno hat, and Geno is, of course, one of the greatest characters in video game history. So go check out PapaGenos if you haven't already. Subscribe to his channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, go support my boy Block Content at Square Things on Twitter. Super awesome guy, glad to work with them. He also did this killer song at the end of his last video, Banjo Take Me Home. Amazing. Honestly, Callum, I think you should switch over to singing instead of Smash content. Just joking, but I loved your voice. And yeah, guys, I think we had a great time here today. Callum is super awesome. If you guys haven't already, go subscribe to Block Content. Trust me, you won't regret it. I love Callum and PapaGenos.
Yeah, so I like all three of you guys, but go over to LaxChris's YouTube channel and subscribe to that. He's a great guy. We love talking together, and I've loved his content. There's a lot of times there's leaks and stuff that I don't even hear about, and Chris, you've made a video on it. Like, I can always count on you to, like, find everything. It's a great art. Great archive for stuff like that. So I like being able to do that. I like not having to hunt so much to find everything. So yeah, if you guys are a fan of that kind of content, looking at leaks and stuff like that, and just speculation in general, yeah, go over to LaxChris's channel and definitely subscribe to that. And if you like this speculation squad, I'm happy to do this again. This was really fun.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you guys so much. I'm gonna play you guys out if you guys have me. Okay, ready?
Gosh, I'm gonna start to cry.
Take me home, PapaGenos, to the place where there's leaks. There's also LaxChris and blocked content. Take me home, Banjo. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Love you guys.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you later.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.